Jason, everything is on in this room.
Great. Okay.
Every light. Oh, no, I can't say that. This light and that light are not on. But every other light in the room is on.
Yeah, we got a lot of lights. This is exactly what I was told, by the way, not to do. Talk about the tech. I can't help it.
Cut it out.
No, it's fine. I'm not going to edit it.
You're not going to edit.
I'm not going to edit out the conversation because once I get into editing any bit of it, then first of all, it's 2 hours, and I don't have the time.
Got it.
Seriously, because I'd like to even do close-ups.
Okay.
I like to do close-ups of people. I can't do that either.
Okay.
If anybody wants to edit these videos, they're more than welcome to.
I'll help you with it if you need help.
Yeah. Again, you don't really, but it's cool. We'll talk about it.
Okay.
So we each have our own brands of coffee.
Cheers.
What are you drinking?
I stopped at Moody's because I parked over at the Back Bay
Moody's
garage.
Yeah.
It's right in the building.
Right. This is Thinking Cup. This is the one downtown. It's actually a really cozy location. I walked into it.
Yeah.
This is actually one of my favorite cups of coffee in Boston.
I don't come into Boston that
Thinking
much anymore.
Yeah. So
I was
we're not supposed to drink.
Trying to think how, because we met in the mid-'90s, but how, through drumming, obviously.
Yeah. Okay. So when did we meet?
That's what I couldn't remember.
Yeah. Okay. This is good. So as I mentioned before, one of the reasons I'm doing this podcast is to have conversations with people that I love, who are also amazing people, who are doing great, amazing things. But because often I am too busy, which is a terrible excuse, and a recluse, which is a better excuse, and having children, which is the best excuse.
Sure. Yeah.
But none of them are really good excuses. So I've basically turned up the pressure. Said, you know what, Jason, just do these conversations on camera and record them. And this way you're
great.
And you guys, so far, everyone's been like, everyone's saying yes. Like,
yeah, because you're a great guy.
Oh, I
and the thing
that.
is, I only run into you every couple of years.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, we used to play in the same venues, so and that was mid-'90s, I'm guessing, right? It was around there,
right?
And then after I kind of went my way, you went your way, whatever we were going to do with our lives. I would happen to be walking through Boston either with my then girlfriend or whatever, and see a crowd of people, and you would be there performing. And I'm like, oh, I know that guy. So I'd always go and say, hey, I'll wait till your performance is over and go and say, hey. But that has been the extent of me seeing you really since those days.
Probably that's the reason why I'm a street performer, is so my friends can see me once in a while. I'm easy to find that way. Like, oh, where's that crowd? Oh, I probably know that guy. Think how I feel. I mean, when there's a crowd of people surrounding, I usually generally I know pretty much all the performers.
Right.
So when I look inside, oh, it's it's Al or it's
Right. So do you remember how we met?
Nope.
No. See,
okay, it's got.
Sorry about
that.
All right. I feel bad about
the name Claudia comes to mind.
Claudia.
So no, I played in a band called Bunk Bed, right? It was a duo with a girl. And no, it wasn't that. So
there were a bunch of artists I was playing with at the time that I could name. You might remember, so this might click.
Oh, it was a female.
Katrin.
It was It has to be through Katrin. It's got to be through Katrin, which is funny because Katrin also played at Faneuil Hall, played there as well.
Yeah, she busted out there. Yeah.
But yeah, so that must have been it.
Yep.
Because I subbed. Was that it?
Yeah, and
I subbed for so many bands in the '90s.
Yeah, and I mean,
so
we
many
had
projects.
a mutual friend at the time, Tom. At the time
as
well.
So I wonder if that,
So somehow with
Right.
Katrin
Yeah.
and Tom and
Yeah.
Tiffany Shea. Do you remember Tiffany Shea?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Her.
Yeah.
That whole
Right.
time. Of course, Tiffany Shea for me came later.
I already knew you.
You already knew me at that point. But
Fairly in the earlier part, but
pop band called Bumble's Bounce. I played in Boston with.
Yeah.
But Katrin,
Okay.
I think that was the link.
Yeah, that's amazing. So but the years are it's 2020.
Yeah.
So we're talking 25
years, 26,
good 25.
24
Yes.
years.
Yeah. So I have a number of friends that I still have like conversations with.
Yeah.
And you're one of those people who like the 20 plus, marker, which
I think
is
it's
great.
fantastic that we kept in touch.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And we always end up chatting on email or text.
A little bit here and there.
Just to catch up.
We do. We absolutely do.
But
so that's why we're here. Because so I'll just jump right in because so one of your gigs, you're a drummer, and one of your gigs, and a mentor and a teacher too.
Yeah,
I know that. One of your gigs is drum tech.
Yeah.
For the band Volbeat.
Right. They're from Denmark.
Denmark.
The Danish rock.
And the name I've mentioned to my friends, people that I know. Have you ever heard? Because I said, "Oh, my friend works with Volbeat," and people are like, people in rock kind of go, "Yeah, I heard of that." You know,
usually 50-50.
Right? It's like, "Oh yeah, I heard of that."
Yeah.
So I'm like an all or nothing guy, and I kind of knew there would be an opportunity for me to wait and then listen. So this morning I just put on Volbeat for the first time, and it was so really, honestly, so good, so good. And I had no idea what to expect.
Yeah.
So I have all these questions, but so how long have you been playing with Volbeat? Playing, kind of teching.
Drum teching. Let's get that clear because that's a big misconception.
Yeah,
and
sure.
We'll talk about that too.
Yeah, there's something interesting in the news I really want to talk with you about.
But yeah,
Aerosmith.
This is my 9th year with those guys.
9th year, so it's been a while.
Yeah. I met them a year prior for me working for them.
Do you know like are you able to play every song on drums?
I've never tried.
Really?
To be honest,
yeah.
I've played maybe a handful.
Yeah.
Just to line check every day or
right,
sound check.
Right.
I always jump into one of their songs.
Yeah.
Although we do a group jam, which has nothing to do with Volbeat, except for to sound check their stuff. And then we do one of their songs, so the front of house guy has kind of a reference.
Right.
It's going to still be different because we don't play like them, obviously.
Well, that's my second question on that one is: when you're doing the line check, are you specifically playing like him?
I have to try to emulate.
Right. So you're literally trying,
my best,
like dynamically, especially.
Yeah,
right?
that's the big
and
thing.
where he hits the drums
That's
and that kind of thing.
Yep. And that's good you mentioned where he hits the drums because specifically his snare drum. I don't want to say I've had problems with it. It's more like the way he hits his snare drum. At every show, I'll hear like a little bit of a ring out of it that I didn't hear in the line check.
Yeah.
And it's because of the way and the where he hits it.
Yeah.
So I've had to kind of change my...
Is he a rim shotter? Or is it not that at all?
Not all the time. No, it's just...
Doesn't sound like it. And also sounds like are they using triggers live or no?
Only on the kicks.
On the kicks only.
But he has mics inside. So they're only for the top end.
Okay.
They're only for the click to make it more consistent.
Yeah, sure.
Because he used 2 bass drums. A lot of people use double pedal.
Yep.
So him using 2 bass drums... Even trying to tune those exactly the same is like
right.
impossible.
Okay, so that's why that.
Right.
Okay,
so
sure.
you're trying, and his left foot's not as strong.
It reminds me of
So
you're gonna love this. My stepsister recently had a mastectomy.
Okay.
And something I never knew about. So she got a new tit.
Okay. Yeah.
But when they put a new tit on, they can give you an areola, but they can't give you a nipple.
Okay.
I'm sorry, no, the opposite. They can give you a nipple, but they can't give you an areola.
Yeah,
that's right. So you have like a nipple, but no areola, and then you have this regular tit.
Right.
So there's tattoo artists that are known, and there's this guy who's like a rock and roller who's like an amazing guy down south. And my mom got the name of this guy, and my stepsister went down there, and he tattoos the second areola on.
Okay.
But then he has to match it. So he tattoos the color of the first areola to match the second a little bit, because otherwise they're not going to look right.
Right, of course.
So it's very similar, isn't it?
Not as cool to look at.
To using triggers, which I haven't seen.
But
I actually resisted asking my stepsister to see her breasts, though I was really curious to see what that looked like. I just felt like I didn't want. That's some things you can't unsee.
Right,
that was one of those things.
That is true. But, maybe you would have survived with a picture better than actually live.
I'd rather hear the clicks.
Right. So the triggers are more consistent, obviously, even if he hits it soft.
Yeah.
Because I have his modules set. No matter how hard there's no velocity. So no matter how hard he hits it, it's the same velocity click.
Click.
So that his double kick is even.
Yeah.
Because he does a lot of that double bass stuff in their music. So, and that's something they've been doing that way for years before I came on board. So that's been my gig steadily. For the last.
How much time does that take up? Just curious. What I'm curious most, and I'm coming because I haven't really talked to any drum techs as much as I'm a drummer, and I never really had a conversation with a drum tech, nor have I had the opportunity to have my own drum tech.
Right.
So I'm curious on all those little details.
Like a lot of us.
Plus, and plus it's such a cool gig.
Yeah. It's something I didn't even
drummers
think about.
that are out there. It's like. And we'll get to what could happen. You can wind up on the Grammys.
I get asked about this.
You can wind up on the Grammys if you're a drum tech with one of the world's most famous bands.
That's true.
And that's my next question. Actually, is have you ever had to step in 9 years?
Only. Not for a show.
No.
He was late for sound check one day, so the singer Michael asked me to play this song.
So he's been 100%.
He has, yeah.
9 years.
And
has he played sick?
Yeah. Yeah, he has.
Okay.
Yeah.
And was he not as good when he was? You see where I'm going here with this? Was he not as good when he was playing sick?
I get this question more than you would think. Like, can you fill in if you have to fill in? I guess.
But no, that's actually not. I'm more thinking about the Aerosmith thing actually now.
Oh yeah.
So was he sick?
Was he
not sound as good when he was sick?
My guy?
Yeah.
No, I think
was
it
it
was
noticeable?
consistent.
Was it noticeable to the audience?
No, I don't
but
think
you
so.
might have noticed.
No,
like,
I noticed, but I don't
he's
think the
definitely his
audience
energy
knew.
is not the same.
For sure.
Like the band, we all know his energy's not the same. He's sick. He's recovering.
Sure. Yeah,
but the audience is still loving
they excuse it. The audience loves it though. Yeah.
Because it's him playing drums, and they all love him.
He's up there. Yeah.
And it's also the sound of that drummer. You can't. It reminds me of Nick Mason, seeing him live with Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
And he's still alive?
I don't know.
I don't know. But this is like 20 years ago, and he's still he always, I think, was loose. At the same time, was an amazing studio drummer. So I don't know how they did what they did, but he's kind of loose, and in a good way. But live, looser than ever. And they had. Have you ever seen them live? They have this maniac in the cage of electronic drums, percussion, just driving the tempo, driving the groove. But those fills, doom 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 doom, like those fills, the Pink Floyd fills.
Yeah.
It's Nick Mason doing those things.
Right.
And it's totally, like if you were to analyze it, it's all over the line, tempo-wise.
Sure,
it doesn't matter, man. Audience loved that. And this guy, drummer, they gave this drummer a moment because he was there, but he never really was there. And then at one point, they gave him like 3 minutes to just like blow our heads off.
Wow.
You know what I mean? But what a great way to keep the original member in the band.
Yeah.
Even though, like he's not as good as he was, but it's a band. It's like brothers, like at some point you got to ask yourself, how many millions is enough? Like, what are you doing this for? You're all doing fine, unless you didn't manage your money, but you're all doing fine.
Yeah, exactly. Me filling in for Jon, it's Jon Larsen, by the way.
Thanks. Because we're not mentioning a lot of names here. It's in the thing, but Jon Larsen from Volbeat. So cool.
I played with the band by mistake at a show.
How does that work?
I know, that's what it says. He broke his hi-hat stand during the show.
Yeah.
And the pedal just went to the floor.
Yeah.
So something inside broke.
Yeah.
And I had a spare, because I carry spares of everything. But in between songs, he jumped off so I could get up and replace it. Now, it's a little more intricate than your standard hi-hat stand because it doesn't have any legs. It's clamped to the bass drum.
Yeah.
So you have to release it from that clamp, take the cymbals
I remember
off,
double bass drumming.
Right?
I love, memories of my double bass drumming years with that clamp holding the hi-hat stand there. Oh, it's so romantic.
But then we have a mic clamp to it too. So you got to take that off and put the new one in and reclamp everything. Right?
Yeah.
So it's a process.
And
meanwhile, the singer's talking to the audience. He doesn't see Jon leave.
Oh, okay.
And he's about to announce the next song. And so the guitar player runs over before he can. And he goes, taps him on the shoulder, and the singer Michael looks back at me, and he goes, "Oh, that's Pete. That's our drum tech. Maybe he knows this song."
That's great.
And I'm like fixing stuff, and I'm looking at Jon, and then Michael's got his back to the audience. This is all on YouTube, by the way. You can actually look it up.
That's great.
He's got his back to the audience, and he goes, "Yeah, maybe Pete knows this. Let's hear it, Pete, Pete." So he's got a whole sold-out crowd in London, chanting Pete.
Yeah.
So now the pressure's on. I'm like, do I do this or do I?
How many people?
At least 2,000 to 3,000, I think. And it wasn't an arena. It wasn't an arena, but
they do arenas.
Yeah, they do arenas usually in Europe. At that time in the UK, they're not as big, so they do smaller venues.
Yeah.
But they do 33,000, 38,000, arenas in Germany.
And they're really popular over there.
Yeah, much more popular than they are here. Yeah.
It's crazy.
And you can tell by the budget, you can tell by the production, there's a lot of things involved.
Yeah, totally.
But so the drummer looked at me at that point and said, "You're up there, go ahead."
Yeah.
And it was a medley of Judas Priest or something like that. And so I counted it off and I jumped in and
so without a hi-hat or with?
With the hi-hat.
Oh, you got it.
I had everything in place.
Good.
And so I was about to jump off, and Jon told me to just play it.
Yeah.
So I counted it off, and I played it, and they didn't even go into it. It was just me playing. And he's looking at me, and then he starts some riff that has nothing to do with
the
actual song. And so we just jammed for about 30 seconds.
Oh, that's cool.
And I jumped off, and he said, "Hey, that's our drum tech, Pete." And everybody, cheered, and I got the hell out of there. But So I played with him by accident. That's what I tell everybody.
Yeah.
Filling in for Jon, I mean, to be honest, now they're Danish, and if you know any Danish people, it's very set in their ways. This is how to do it. The Danish way is the way to do it. And it's a good and a bad thing. But in this case, if Jon were to get sick, they would end up, if it was day of a show, they might ask me if I know enough songs to play the show. But more times than not, they're going to bring in the drummer from an opening band or someone that's a ringer that they know can finish the tour if it's a really bad situation.
Right.
You know?
Right. Meaning that they would keep you as a drum tech or no?
They keep you as a drum tech.
Right.
Yeah.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It does. In a pinch, yeah, I could get through a show.
Right,
I wouldn't be able to play all the songs on their set list the way Jon does.
Well, of course not.
We'd have to pick and choose.
Yeah.
But I'd be able to get through
But
a
you
show.
could play all the songs.
Sure.
I mean, I've heard. I mean, just
Yeah.
from what they do.
Yeah, no, yeah,
they're
I
not
could.
doing.
Sure.
He's. I would love about his drumming is. It's kind of old school.
Yeah.
In that sense, and that's
Right.
why I saw something about rockabilly influence, but there's
Yeah.
that influence of just like old rock,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
straight up, or maybe
Meat
Judas
and
Priest, or
potatoes,
like
man.
meat potatoes, like
Yeah.
kick and snare, like
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
like he could rock that beat.
Yep. I got better at double bass just teching for this guy.
Oh
Because
man,
I was never a double bass player.
right. And this guy, and I did not listen to enough to know what his ability is.
Right.
But he's the kind of guy that can groove on 16th notes.
Yeah.
Like just groove,
Exactly.
or even eighth notes. Just
Triplets,
groove.
yeah, all that stuff,
He could just
yeah.
groove on those with a
Yep.
kick drum, like
Yep.
really solid. Just
Yeah.
just really, which is
Absolutely.
that's what you need to do. I mean,
Yeah.
these superstars. Like I don't think he's a Joey Jordison.
No,
on
he's
drums.
not. He's not a huge technique guy.
No, because but Joey Jordison lacks feel.
Right.
In my mind, I mean, he's a machine. It's
Right.
like insane.
Yeah.
It's like what's going on there.
Yeah.
Those guys.
Sure.
And there are guys that kind of cross over.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think
There's
did I
guys
send
that
you
do both.
Yeah, like who's
For
that
sure.
guy that's really popular? I might have sent you a video of, but he plays drums with he drums with fire. He plays in some band.
Not Zoltan.
No, but he's a very very animated drummer
Yeah.
and really good. Like
If anybody knows, leave a comment in his.
yeah, and I'll probably he's like. They just play with like Blink-182. They're opening up for them because I think he posted
okay.
pictures on his YouTube stream, like as a post about like it was our best time working with Travis
Right.
and everything. But
Right.
but he's one of those drummers that is a solo man. He's a trio that he plays with, and I forget the name of the band.
A guy I worked for briefly because his drum tech was sick. I did 9 shows with them. Hailstorm. And their drummer, RJ Hale,
Yep.
is a show guy.
Yeah,
Awesome player.
Yeah.
Really good player.
Yeah.
And technically great too.
right.
But he's a showman. All his drums
Sure.
are low. He kind of sits high.
Yeah.
He wants to be seen. Has all
Yep.
the throws and the
Yep.
spins and the
Yep.
plays with the big sticks
Yep.
during his solo.
Yeah,
Stuff like
right,
that.
right.
Completely
Yeah.
opposite end of the guy I
Right.
work for.
Yeah.
you
So
know?
who is your favorite drummer? It's kind of loaded, a big question, but I was
It's
curious.
always been Kenny Aronoff because he is one of those melty
Kenny
guys.
Aronoff.
He
Yeah.
can play all
Kenny
the
Aronoff.
styles.
And the Kenny is with Cougar? Was
Was
John
with
Cougar?
him for 17
So
years.
he got fucked over by John Cougar, correct?
Yeah, read his book. Yeah, he explains
But he
it.
does.
Yeah.
You read the book, so you know more than I do.
Yeah, I mean it's
Would you say categorize that as a true or false idea that John Cougar was not better, not the best?
see both
way
sides
then?
of it.
Okay, good. I don't know the
I see
story,
both sides of it.
and I
Yeah.
really want to circle right back to.
We want to go back to the Kramer thing.
Yeah, I really do.
Right,
'Cause
yeah,
I
we
want your
will.
opinion because that's.
I'll just say this real quick.
Yeah.
Because I talked to Kenny about this
Mm-hmm.
on the phone in 1998 because he had just left.
Yeah.
And I was really concerned. I was a big fan.
Yeah.
Probably a bigger fan back then.
Yeah.
And I talked to him on the phone about it and asked him why he left. And he said, in a nutshell, he couldn't make a living just playing for John Cougar.
That's right. I remember we talked. You and I had this conversation.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. So that's it in a nutshell, really. Was
Yep.
he couldn't not do his other gigs and just play for John.
So, and John Cougar was asking for exclusive.
Right. Yeah, when Kenny was already busy with something.
Yeah.
And he didn't
right.
want to wait for him
Right.
after all those years.
Right,
So
right.
he said, well, I'll just get somebody else. And he never went back.
And John Cougar had taken time off,
He had taken like 3 years off.
and then said basically you can't work
And
in those 3 years.
no. That was before.
But no,
this all
right.
came
Oh, God.
about.
So I got it.
Before, yeah. He did work for the 3 years, but that's why Kenny is who he is now.
Right.
Is because that 3 year gap
Yeah.
made him think, oh, crap, what do I do now?
Yeah. Yeah.
So he started doing sessions. He started playing with other artists. And when Jon wanted him back, he came back.
Right.
But he still did all the other stuff.
He had a schedule. He had a
Right.
calendar. He's like, well, here's what I could do. Here's what I can't do. And work around that like any good band would do at that point.
And we'll get into that, too, because that's very important. And I think people should know about that stuff.
Yeah.
But let's circle back to the Kramer thing first.
Yeah, and then we'll talk about scheduling, because it is important about this type of job.
And
both on your
more
end
than
and the band's.
your instrument.
Say that again?
And doing more than just your instrument, which you know a lot about.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's important, too.
Yeah.
And the different branches of your instrument that maybe you don't even know about.
Right.
You know, those things.
Okay, cool.
'Cause that's what happened with me.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know? But let's talk about the Kramer thing, because I don't know a lot about this.
Yeah,
all I heard
know,
was that he was suing the band. That's all I know about it.
This is what I know, and what I know to be true. And since the Grammys are already over, we already know we already know the outcome of that.
I don't.
The outcome was that he did not play with the band.
Okay.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
So.
And who did play with the band?
The drum tech.
The drum tech. Which segues from what we were just talking about.
Which is kind of interesting. Yeah. That's why I kind of want your opinion, for you to weigh in on this. Though, okay. So yeah, him being sick, which many of the band members have been, him coming back, but being asked to audition to a click track.
Was he sick through the Vegas thing? Is that why?
I think I don't know the details, but he got sick for probably maybe 3 to 6 months. He hasn't been working.
Okay.
But maybe I don't know. But he's ready to come back.
Yep.
And the band says, you need to audition, which is kind of like 35 years of the band.
Right. I have
like,
an opinion
wow.
on that too.
It's like really like, whoa, like you're being mean. So this is my opinion that they're being mean. This opinion. And then add insult to injury, we're not even going to play with you. Here's a click track. Just play to the music. Like play, whatever.
And record it.
Record it. Right. So when listen back, they said it's not enough energy.
Huh.
And I don't know about you playing to a click track to not your band, but
there's no interaction.
Good luck, you know, having energy. And also psychologically, what you're being told to do is kind of a mind fuck too, I'm sure. Yeah. So here he is, he's doing his thing. They said you're not up to par, and he's basically suing the band to be in the band, which is really, really weird. And then in just that clip that we heard about in Joey Kramer's book, he says that, you know, he claims that Joe Perry really is not there to be his friend, even though the statement from Aerosmith.
That's true. I read Joey's book.
In Aerosmith, the recent statement is that he's one of our brothers.
Yep.
And that we felt like it was a disservice to our fans to have him on stage. And this is where this is why I'm circling back. When you have an icon, Joey Kramer, part of 1-5, he's 20% of a band, right, of an iconic band. When you take that guy away, what's the disservice to the fans? What are you doing there? I mean, you can do what I just mentioned earlier, which is to have a Nick Mason and have a drummer aside him to support him. You can have a percussionist aside. You can do that. They've played with orchestras. It's not like they're purists in any way, shape, or form. Right. They're playing with Run DMC, which means they were playing with. They probably had tracks. So it's like purely.
I'm sure they have some tracks.
It's something else. Yeah. That's my thought. It's something else, and it could circle back to Joe Perry saying, "I don't have to play with him.
Right. I
don't like him. I don't have to do anything."
I kind of feel like there's been turmoil in that band for decades.
Yeah, sure. I mean,
personal turmoil. I mean,
absolutely. I mean, what 5 human beings wouldn't have personal turmoil in 40 years of their
being
life?
Being in a band is difficult, for sure.
Being in a band, but being in anything.
Yeah.
Just because they just happen to be they just happen to be publicized. Yeah. But the same amount of drugs and alcohol and destruction and whatever go on in corporate world and finance, and it's the same shit.
Yeah.
So these just happens to be a nice story of 5 guys in a box, working together and
Sure.
But the other little piece that is kind of emotional, which is kind of cute and sad, and they have a clip of this, which you wonder how they have a clip of this, but Joey Kramer showing up to rehearsal with his little like lunch, something like that, like in plastic bags, and 2 security guards in the front saying, "We've been hired to prevent you from coming in."
Really?
Yeah. And Joey Kramer, who looked like an old man, looks at the camera and says, "Okay."
Wow.
And just turns away and walks away.
Wow.
So, I mean, the Aerosmith obviously felt it enough to hire security to keep Joey Kramer away from the band after the lawsuit, before the Grammys. That's where the window is.
Right.
So they did the Grammys. And my friend who saw the Grammys on TV said that it was fairly sad. Like it was a best effort at most.
I'll have to look it up.
It didn't seem well rehearsed. That's what I got out of it. Like Run DMC was just like doing like those words once in a while to music.
Yeah.
He was just like highlighting words.
Yeah.
And Steven Tyler brought up two women to dance, and it didn't go very well with that. And it just seemed, my friend who's a performer said it seemed awkward. Didn't seem good.
Huh.
And so which means it wasn't. You know what I mean? If it's so, I know how hard it is to perform on stage. Why would you?
I think ultimately, in my opinion, it's shitty.
Yeah,
that they did that to him.
It feels shitty.
Being a member of the band.
Yeah,
I think when a member of your band gets sick, you should all be around him to support him. You're not a baby band. You're not a starting out, cutting your teeth band.
Yeah,
you're a legendary band. You can take the time.
Yeah.
To be around your guy and make sure that he gets to 100% or wherever you want him to go on tour again or play whatever. They're not going to end by not playing the Grammys this year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like, come on. Really?
You brought up a great point. I mean, these guys have the funds to easily hire a coach, a drumming coach.
Yeah.
A teacher to support him.
Yeah.
To get him right back to where he needs to
Absolutely.
get for that 30-second set.
Right.
On the Grammys.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's shitty. I think that when you have original members from a band that are willing to play together that long, through breakups, through whatever.
Right. It's so rare.
Yeah. Why would you jeopardize that again?
And here's the beautiful thing, and I guess I wonder if they have connected the dots. There's a beautiful thing in philosophy and meditation and mindfulness, where is that, like, what if, like, this all ended yesterday? What if all this ended yesterday for us? Like, I was dead. But today was like, suddenly I got to be reborn. It got to continue. Like, I just got a gift. Like, how would I view my relationships, my time, everything I do? Like, hanging out with you, which wouldn't have happened if I was killed in a car accident yesterday. Right? But here I am.
Yeah.
Like, what a gift this is. And, like, I should appreciate this cup of coffee because, like, I could have never had this again.
True.
We often don't know when our last time is for something.
Right.
Last time you pick up your child because now they're too big to pick up. The last time you read them a book, or the last time a coffee shop might close, go up the next day, your favorite cup of coffee. It's not there anymore.
Right.
So this brings me back to Neil Peart.
Yeah.
So here's a band that would like to play with their drummer, and they lost him.
True. Very true. Yeah.
They wanted to continue.
And, before they lost him, he was sick, and they knew that.
Yeah. And what did they do?
They stopped touring.
They took care of him.
And they took care of him, right.
So
if he were to get better, they'd be touring again.
Yep. They gave him a space. So if they weren't friends,
they didn't get another drummer to continue on.
No,
is the idea,
gosh, no.
right?
And the statement, of course, is like any iconic band is like you can't replace a Neil Peart or a Joey Kramer.
Right.
You can't do it.
Right.
Once you've crossed over a threshold, like Van Halen was, I think, right on that threshold because they were a little bit early and they were massively successful.
Yeah.
But their frontman change was at a time in the 80s, right?
Yeah.
It just seemed to work.
Yeah, it did. It worked for a long time.
But let's talk about Queen and Adam Lambert. I mean, as much as he might be incredible, you can't.
You can't. Yeah.
He's amazing. I know that.
Yeah,
if Queen is working with someone as a frontman, and their last frontman was Freddie Mercury, then you are a fucking god of all gods to be playing in that band. That's a given.
Yeah.
But the band is still, Queen is Freddie Mercury.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a threshold.
Absolutely.
Van Halen, I still think of it with David Lee Roth, but it's totally okay to say no. You know what I mean? Like maybe it was.
They are that exception to the rule with that, just because. I mean, when Sammy joined that band, the band changed. The music changed.
They did. Well, it was a really cool collaboration.
Yeah, and they had a ton of great songs.
Totally Sammy Hagar influenced. Totally different producer. Really, they shifted the game. Yeah. I think a different producer. I'm just guessing that it must have been different because they. Right. And speaking of that, we're circling right back to Volbeat.
Yeah.
So when I listen to them, I don't know where their influences lie, but I mean they remind me of like a Chevelle.
Okay.
Sometimes.
Okay. Like
in that kind of sense.
I know who they are. I never bought their records.
You would like them.
They've actually played festivals with us. And I haven't watched them.
They're fantastic. Okay. And one of their albums was there's a crossover because I think Chevelle and Tool had the last album Chevelle was produced by a producer who produced Tool,
Okay.
and now the last Tool album I hear a little bit of Chevelle in there, a
Oh,
little
really?
tiny
Okay.
bit of just
Okay.
a little tiny bit of that extra, a little tiny, and you obviously who hasn't heard the Tool album?
Yeah, sure.
Fuck. A little extra dose of pop. You notice that into the Tool album?
Yeah.
Just a little
Yeah.
sprinkle
Yep.
of Chevelle,
Yeah.
which is a little extra
Okay.
pop.
Okay.
Still on the
Sure.
and Volbeat has that kind of combination of like definitely heavy rock.
Yeah, I mean, they started,
And yet-
their first record is
but-
pretty heavy.
Yeah, and yet pop.
It's
There's a
more
pop.
Yeah, because, Michael, the singer, writes 90% of the stuff. So his influences are Johnny Cash, Elvis,
Yeah.
Metallica,
Yeah.
Social Distortion,
Right.
all over the gamut, really.
Yeah.
But all based on rock.
Yeah.
And
You could tell it's a wide range.
he puts it together pretty well, where you listen to one song and you hear all those influences.
It's fun. As for the first time listening, it's fun
Yeah.
because the songs you don't know where they're going to go. I
Right.
love that about
Right.
bands like that.
Yeah.
And you don't know that until you start listening to that band. You're
Right.
like,
That's true.
okay. Now we're changing. We're going here now.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So let's go back to Joey Kramer for a minute.
Yeah.
So what they did was they hired their
drum
drum
tech.
tech to
Right.
play. Now, the same friend who saw them on the Grammys also saw them live with the drum tech and said he was great.
Do you know what the drum tech's name is?
I don't.
Okay. I was a little bit.
I eventually want to have a third person here.
So you can look that stuff
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
That's a good idea.
It's
a good idea, 'cause,
do my Googling
Yeah.
for me.
Yep.
This way we can get some
Yeah.
more data on anything in real time.
Yeah, yeah.
Because there's always stuff going on. Like
Yeah,
you can search
absolutely.
for Joey Kramer today and find out what happened. Like
Right.
we're already behind YouTube and everything is so fast.
know, man.
This
I
video
know.
comes up. This is like outdated stuff, but it's still interesting to talk about ethically.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so they hire the drum tech.
Right.
So let's just put that on you. What would you do?
Um,
What would you do about the offer?
If it were me, I would have gone to the drummer and asked him how he felt about it. And obviously, Kramer doesn't feel good about it. I don't know if he feels good about. He's probably fine with that. Okay, his drum tech did it.
Oh,
'cause
and he has to pay him.
But he has to pay him too.
He has to pay him, right?
I don't know.
He does.
Does Kramer have to pay him?
Kramer has to pay him.
How do I feel about that?
What's up with that? What?
That's
not
weird.
out of Aerosmith
That's
money,
kinda
but out of
whacked.
Joey Kramer
yeah,
money?
that's whacked. That's whacked.
Because they're all such different
Yeah,
entities. They're all
yeah,
contracted
yeah,
out
that's
now.
whacked.
They're
That
like
should
a
be an Aerosmith
corporation.
expense.
Yeah, that's crazy. But yeah,
But
so you get offered.
just the fact, even beyond pay, like pay aside, salary aside, the relationship between the drummer and the drum tech should be like this. It should
Yeah.
be, pretty tight.
Right, you would hope so.
You would hope so. I mean, I know I have that with John,
Yeah.
but John isn't the number one of the band. Michael
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
So Michael has last say on everything. If
Yeah.
Michael wants to fire me, John can't save me.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we still have a time. We hang out all together. We go record shopping.
Yeah.
Collect whatever. We
A lot of free time together. You got a lot of time on the road.
on the road. So.
How big is the crew,
and we
real
talk every
quick?
couple days.
I tried to get a picture of these.
There's 12 core crew guys that
Yep.
go everywhere worldwide.
Yep.
And then we extend from there depending on how big the production is.
Okay. A minimum.
So
of
it could
12.
be anywhere from 12 to 75,
Right, depending on the arenas.
depending on arenas, plus local crew.
Right.
We always have local crew.
I'm just gonna check the camera, but that's running.
How I feel about it?
Yeah. So they offer you the gigs. Volbeat says, or do you want to pretend that you're an Aerosmith?
Same situation?
You want to pretend that you're. What if you're? Let's just say you're Aerosmith.
Okay.
drummer.
If Aerosmith
That's
came
even
to me,
bigger, right? So you.
I'd be
you've been
stupid not
Aerosmith-
to take the
I don't know
gig,
how long.
obviously.
Right. Right.
as a drummer, I'd be
Right.
stupid not to take the
And I
gig.
don't think Joey Kramer would ever prevent you.
No,
from
I
doing
would
the
hope
gig.
not.
I mean,
I would hope not.
that
But
would be purely selfish.
if I thought I was close enough to the band to talk to them about what they're doing to
Yeah.
Joey,
Yeah.
I would do that.
Right.
I don't know if he's. I
Sure.
don't know the drum tech. I don't know
Yeah.
how close he is with the band.
Yeah.
Is it out of
Yeah.
it out of the realm of
Yeah.
his job? Probably.
It's such a hypothetical. It doesn't make this question doesn't
No.
make any sense.
No.
Because you know the fact that
Yeah.
there's no way that that drum tech has any say in the matter when it comes to the corporation of Aerosmith.
No, not usually.
Like in
No.
that, imagine that
Yeah.
size of that machine.
Right,
Like
right.
Volbeat, you
Right.
don't have a say.
No,
you might
I
have
can't
an opinion.
control them.
Maybe you might be able to talk to the singer about
Sure.
your thoughts.
And I have, yeah.
But I get the sense that,
Yeah.
that the drum tech has really no say in the matter and
No,
can't really.
he doesn't.
He's just more
He
like
doesn't. He can just choose whether to do it or
Yeah,
not.
yeah, that's it.
So how loyal is he to
Right.
the cause of Joey Kramer? I guess.
Right. But how loyal are to your own goals and dreams?
Right.
Right. I mean, to
Right.
have an opportunity like that.
I'll say this, not all drum techs get into it to become the drummer.
I would hope not.
Some guys do.
Yeah.
And some guys have.
Right. The resentment and frustration that might come at a drummer for working with someone who wants to be in their shoes.
But there's also guys
That's
that,
annoying.
and I know one personally,
Yep.
that's a friend of mine that has filled in for me as a drum tech.
Yep.
He's now in Buck Cherry, and he's the
Right.
drummer.
Right. Yeah.
But he worked his ass off
Yeah.
for years, playing in bands, whatever, and then being a drum tech for all these different bands. He didn't get into Buck Cherry, as a drum tech to
Yeah.
be in the band.
Yeah.
But circumstances happened where
Sure.
he got asked to join the band.
But they are two very different. They really are two different animals.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
were
they
talking
are.
about that.
Yeah, they are. And I know drum techs that don't play drums. That's a weird thing, I think.
Yeah, you don't need to, even with line checking, you don't need to play drums. You just need to be able to emulate that hit
Right.
in this spot.
Right.
You don't need to.
The
do
drum
much
tech
more than
before
that.
me with Volbeat
Yeah.
was not a drummer.
No, you don't need to. It doesn't matter if you can
He
play.
could barely do boom bop
Yeah,
boom bop.
yeah. That's enough. Just enough.
But he knew how to set everything up and fix it when it
Yeah.
broke, and
Yep.
the proper cleaning for the kits,
Yeah.
set up the same way every day.
Yeah.
I mean, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And John doesn't play a small kit.
No.
He's got double bass. He's got 8 toms. He's got
Yeah.
snare
How many
drum and
cymbals?
6 crashes, 2 chinas, 2 hi-hats, and a ride, and a bell.
Nice. You shine those every night?
I do every day, every day. Yeah.
I mean, I've always noticed this stuff. So
Yeah.
I've noticed like going.
I look at my drums now
go
and
to
I'm like-
concerts. Like I've always I've seen Rush
Yeah.
a dozen times, whatever, growing up, and always walking in and seeing that ride cymbal shimmering, and it's and a lot of the cymbals that he would use are like his tried and true. They weren't brand new cymbals
Right.
because they were just
Right.
great cymbals
Right.
that he used on the
Right.
recording.
And a lot of those you probably didn't want cleaned.
They were polished. They were clean to some degree,
Right.
but they had a different finish. You're right. They were not polished. Actually, well, they were buffed. I mean, they were buffed to some degree because I remember just seeing the lights, but I still remember seeing everything look clean.
Yeah.
Everything looked really clean. We're not talking about the jazz drummers.
But the thing you have to remember too, it's not about how you want them to look or sound.
Yep.
It's about how the drummer wants it.
Yeah.
So me as a drummer, I'm a little bit at an advantage and a disadvantage.
Yeah.
I think it's a disadvantage only because I know how I like things.
Right.
But that's not why I'm there.
No, not.
I
So-
need to learn what he
So are
likes.
you saying though that drummers preferred not to have their cymbals? Like a drummer can decide. I thought that would be a production thing.
No, that's a drummer thing.
Oh, see, I
Just
thought the
like,
production thing would be like you got to clean the drums, shine them, so they look good for the
No.
lights.
No, it's up to the drummer. But I'm anal about it. So
I would love to have
Every day,
new heads and
hardware,
new all that stuff.
whatever,
It looks
yeah.
great,
Right.
And it does look way better when you walk in the arena. So like one of my favorite things is to walk in the arena, and when the lights are on, that like kind of dim, the audience
Yeah.
lights are on,
Yeah.
and the stage lights aren't even on.
Yeah.
They're not on.
Yeah.
But you just see the drums, and all you see is
Gleaming.
the hardware
Yeah.
gleaming off,
Right.
the distant lights.
Right.
That is like.
yeah, it's pretty awesome.
It's pretty awesome.
it
It's
is.
like a really good feeling.
It is,
you
yeah.
know? And then also the sound of nice subs being barely pushed.
Right.
Like during the opening when people walk in, the
Yeah.
feeling of that headroom.
Yeah.
I love the sound of headroom
Yeah.
when there's an enormous amount of headroom.
Yeah.
Like you can feel the chamber inside the speaker just going,
Yeah.
"You're just barely touching me."
Yeah,
right now.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know what I mean? Because then when those kick drums hit in, it's
Right.
like same speakers. You know what I
Right.
mean? Right? It's like wow.
Right. Yeah, that's true. That is true.
Do you sit? Do you sit next to the drummer?
I used to sit behind him.
Behind him?
I have a work box off to the side that I kind of hide behind. But in this latest production that we just finished in Europe, they have video wall behind him.
Yeah.
So I need to be behind that.
Okay.
So all of us, actually, all the techs, who are usually stage right and left,
Yep.
including the monitor tech.
So how do you
guitar
see him?
techs, Monitors with a
Monitors.
camera.
Okay.
So, which is the first time we've ever done it.
Yeah, that's weird.
That way. First time we've ever done it that
And
way.
headset.
We learned it from Metallica, though.
Oh, really?
'Cause we went out with Metallica in 2017.
Yeah, they're the kind of band that
They have that huge video wall that's
they
the
got a
entire
lot going on.
stage.
Yeah, everything's video.
Yeah,
So they have
and-
like little GoPros everywhere stuck up, or
They
little
have
cameras.
legit cameras from
Legit
their video
cameras.
world that controls
It's crazy.
for every artist. And so we all watch our artists on video cameras.
Right.
And so you got to pay attention.
So how many guys in the band?
There's 4.
They have 4 cameramen?
They have
Or is
they
it
have
set up?
stationaries set up
Okay.
for the drummer, obviously.
Overhead?
And the bass player.
Overhead cam? That'll be...
No, it's clamped to his rack off to his left.
Okay.
So I can see his face.
Right. So
all he has
so
to
he
do is
looks
motion
at
to
you.
that.
He looks at you. That's where you are.
Yeah.
He looks
And he
at
has a
that.
talkback mic, too.
Good.
So
Okay.
he
Yeah, I was
can
wondering
actually
about
talk to
that.
me
Yeah, that's cool.
on a foot switch, so it turns on and off, so he doesn't have to flip a switch.
Yeah,
on the mic,
I wonder that. So this is all interesting stuff.
So yeah,
Like, think about this. Think
one
about the
those
tech of
things.
this.
Yeah,
Very different than Jimi Hendrix experience, I'm
Yeah.
sure.
It's got-
so he's got a.
It's got out of control.
He's got a. Where's the mic?
The mic is on a boom, so if he's sitting like this and the front's
Right.
this way,
And that mic picks up his voice amongst
Only.
all the sound.
well, because he usually never talks in it when he's playing,
Right.
so it's
No,
off.
this is his
until he
audio
swings
mic.
It over.
No, this is. I'm talking about the
Just
mic
a
to
talkback
communicate with
mic.
you. Talkback
Right,
mic.
it's called talkback mic.
Oh, he brings it over.
He brings it over and he steps on a
Is
foot
it
switch that I
57 or
put
something like
next to
that?
his pedal, right, or a 58.
Yeah.
Doesn't really matter,
Right.
whatever they give us. And he can talk to the whole crew hears it.
Okay.
We all have in-ear packs.
Okay. Cool.
We can hear anybody talking into talkback mics.
Right. Okay.
So, and we have talkback mics. So
Right.
we can talk to them.
So how many pedals does he have?
He has one talkback pedal,
Yep.
and he's got his hi-hat pedal,
Hi-hat
and
pedal.
then his bass drum pedal.
Bass drum pedal. And two.
And then
well,
he's
two
got
bass drum
another foot switch there to change triggers if they go bad.
pedals. Oh,
So then
so
I don't have to do it.
you have backup
I have a
backup
backup
triggers.
So there's 2 triggers on each bass drum,
Okay.
and they're on an A/B switch.
Oh, the click triggers. You're talking
Yeah,
about.
the kick
we were talking
triggers.
about earlier. Okay.
Yeah. So
And
I put it in a foot switch so that
How does he know automatically when they're not working? He can hear it.
if he hears double triggers
Oh,
or
okay.
a missed trigger during a steady,
So you have two separate units
I have one unit with
with 4 channels.
two.
use.
It's an SPDSX
Yep.
unit.
Yep.
And it will switch drum sets if he hits the foot switch,
Okay.
which switches the triggers.
Right.
The pads all stay the same. They're all programmed the same for
Yep.
clicks and stuff like that. If he plays it with click track. I've programmed that to be in the same in every drum set. So if he does switch it, it stays the same. Because they do use tracks as well for, especially with the new record, because they have backing vocals that are like gospel choir or female backing
Yeah,
vocals
yeah.
that they want to use.
Right.
So it has to be done to a click.
Yep.
So I have to program all that into the pads for him to cue with a click track that only goes to him.
Right.
Now, if something happens with the bass drum triggers and the track is running and he hits that pedal, you would think the track's going to stop. But the beauty about that unit is it won't.
Okay.
It'll just change drum sets, which will change the triggers, but will not change what's he already has hit on the
Okay.
pad. He has to go back to that to turn it off, the track,
Okay.
which he never has to do because it just runs out to the end of the song,
Right.
so it won't matter.
Yeah.
there's a lot to think
Yeah,
about,
but those little
you
backups
know,
are good because I've
when you do it.
experienced issues
Yeah.
where without a backup I didn't really.
And I have
realize.
2, and that's why I do it.
Yeah, that's
you
good.
know,
That's
and
smart.
It used to be 2 units when we
Yep.
used the older Alesis units.
Yep.
I had 2 units in a rack under his riser on an A/B switcher.
Yeah. You like the Roland better?
The Roland is more of an all-in-one.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it seems to be the Alesis was never died on me. I never
Yeah.
really had to use the
Yeah,
second one.
yeah.
But yeah, the
It works,
Roland
it
has
works.
come a long way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's come a long way. It could do a lot more than what we're using it for.
Yep.
But
Yeah,
a lot of bands,
yeah.
even Anthrax is using them now.
Yeah.
Charlie Benette from Anthrax, he's using them too to trigger stuff.
So what else is this guy? Speaking of that, is he doing any other electronics on his
A bell sound for something that's on the record.
kit? Okay.
Because one of their famous songs called Warrior's Call
Yeah.
has a boxing bell sound.
Yep.
And he was using his regular Peisty
Bell.
13-inch bell
Yeah.
for that. But the sound guy's really got to turn that mic up when he hits it to really hear it
Sure,
over
yeah,
everything.
yeah.
So we got a programmed bell and put it in a pad. So he triggers
Yeah,
that.
Yeah.
He triggers a church bell from a newer song.
Is that all on the?
They're all on the, because you have
roll?
9 pads
Yep.
to work with. So I program all that in. A lot of it's click track stuff.
So he plays with a click track.
Only when he has to.
Only when he
Only
has
when there's a track.
to. Right. Okay. Yeah. Cool. Yeah,
Like a vocal
curious about
track
that.
or an extra guitar track
Mm-hmm.
or whatever they're going to use. All that this year, though, is going to switch over to a laptop with a playback guy
Yep.
so that he doesn't have to deal with that.
Yep.
Because it's really, and you're going to get more control out of it if you have it in a laptop because it's going to be better
Yeah.
sound.
Yeah.
You can put it in a program where You can do whatever you want to it, where it's really limited in the SPDSX. Where
Definitely.
It can only be a mono
These days,
track.
Yeah, it seems like that's what people are using mostly.
Yeah,
anyway.
they're using playback stuff.
I see that. I see laptops.
I subbed for Megadeth too, and they played back every song.
So you drum tech for Megadeth.
Yeah, well, I did one show with them.
Yeah.
And they do everything on playback. It's amazing what this stuff does now.
Yep.
They're playing everything. I was surprised a band like Megadeth was using this stuff.
Yep.
But every song is on a click.
Yep.
So that it's the same tempo for Mustaine every day.
Yep.
And it goes from, their drum tech has a whole playback unit with an iPad and 2 MacBooks, and a whole unit to send it to Monitor World, front of house, to their in-ear mixes.
Yep.
It also controls MIDI to the guitar pedal switches.
Jesus.
So every time a guitar player needs a new sound, they would usually hit a pedal.
Yep.
They don't have to.
That's all set.
The computer does it.
That's all set.
So it's all programmed into these songs.
That's great.
So my job as a playback guy, which I don't want to be a playback guy.
Yep.
I just subbed for this guy
Yep.
for one show. Was to start and stop every song, and make sure I was starting the right song for them. We had one rehearsal. It was the day before the show. And also, I'm the guy's drum tech that day,
Yeah.
so I got to pay attention to him too. Seeing Mustaine through the fog and the video walls and stuff, and making sure he's ready was a task. So I always had the drummer let me know because he could see him because he was up high.
Yeah.
And he would nod to me and I'd start it. So it didn't go wrong, luckily. But if it happened to trip up, that's what the second laptop's for.
Right.
It's synced so that they
all
run together.
synced, yeah.
But if this one dies, this one will pick up
switch over.
automatically.
Switch right over.
It's also it's connected to video content that they
Yep.
run on the screens.
Yeah.
That's another reason they do it.
Yeah.
So things you might not know
Well,
about it's not a secret, and if it is, it's not now. But
Yeah, everything's going to run
It's
that way.
what
What I think is
bands
cool
are
is
doing it.
that they're
A lot of
automating.
bands are
I mean,
doing
I know, and if I remember correctly, Andy Summers on the Police tours, the most recent ones, he was not doing his pedal board anymore.
right.
Like someone else,
Right.
the guitar tech beneath the stage or next to it was doing
Rob
all the
doesn't
switching,
either. Yeah.
because he couldn't be tasked with remembering and learning all those parts again.
Yeah.
He had someone else had to learn all the settings because he didn't remember
Yeah.
what pedals were
Rob's
what.
tech does it too in Volbeat.
Yeah.
Yep. He does it too. I see him back there in his world because I got not a lot to do during the show.
No, we're drum
Just pay
techs.
attention.
Drum techs are, I think, I mean, when
I
the
help
shit,
do
when,
bass
the, when the
changes.
shit happens,
Yeah.
it's pretty big, and like,
Yeah.
you got to deal with because the
Yeah.
drummer, if he stops in the middle of a song, it's kind of
Right.
sucks.
Right.
Most other instruments can actually stop.
Right.
The drummer, I assume,
Yeah,
you don't want him to stop. So if something breaks, like a snare drum,
Yeah, you
it's
got to
like,
be out there.
like
yeah.
how quick can you replace that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and
Does that happen where you've actually had like a snare
he's
drum? or
blown out a
something?
bottom head before, but he
Yeah.
usually waits till the end of the song.
Yeah, so you can get away with
Then
that.
I can get out there. Mid song, I don't usually change it.
Yep.
He's never broken a top head.
A little Danny Carey action.
Yeah.
That's what I love about the new Tool album is
Yeah.
that the amount of just unsnared tom.
Oh, yeah.
Snares with
Okay.
the tom. Not with
Sure.
we call that. What do you call that?
Well, just turned off snare drum.
Turn off snare drum.
Yeah.
Just he does that.
Yeah.
And
Tries to throw off.
in one of in his drum solo song, he has it off, but he's smacking it so you hear the snares rattling. It's, it's
man.
so good.
Yeah.
He's using it.
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
totally
yeah,
using
yeah.
it. Like, not trying
That's
to
great.
block it out. He's totally playing with it. he has
really
a
great.
point where it might be in the first song where I watched the drummer on YouTube doing the song. They're already like learning,
Oh, wow.
teaching it now,
Okay.
like
Wow.
how to do those things.
Oh, I want
But
your opinion on that, but continue.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's something to talk about that.
Yeah.
You're right. It's like you hear the click and you hear this like doo-doo, 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 and it's a stick on the edge of the inside of a floor tom that's creating that little high-pitched
No
tone.
kidding. No kidding.
That's
Okay.
how that sound is.
Okay.
And
Interesting.
I hear it, it sounds like
Yeah.
a keyboard.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's definitely a linear pattern that he's
Right.
playing.
Right.
So if it was a keyboard, it's like brilliantly done because
Yeah.
it's playing linear with
Yeah.
the stick.
Yeah.
But it makes more sense as something like that.
Sure,
And
sure.
but when I saw it done, I was like,
Huh. Very
that's
cool.
beautiful.
Very
Like
cool.
I never even thought of that.
I think that's one thing I like about this world of YouTube now is the learning aspect of it and being able
Yes.
to look it up and say, oh, that's how he's doing it because you can see it.
Absolutely.
But what I wanted to ask you was, how do you feel about all the people on YouTube doing cover songs? Do you think it's a good thing?
Well, absolutely, and I think what's going on right now is they've taken away the monetization for all the teachers. You know that.
Right.
Publishing companies have been dicks, and they're taking theirs, what is not theirs. Here we are, people who make a living teaching music to children, a lot of children, a lot of people, and how they do that is through teaching an Eric Clapton song or a Beatles song or a Police song or a Volbeat song.
Right.
And for a publishing company, not often the band itself that's doing it, but it's the publishing company that's saying, well, if our song is a medium that which you're teaching it, like if that's what you're teaching, then we want all the money for your teaching.
Right.
It's like, okay, I get back in the day, if you wanted to buy, remember sheet music wasn't cheap.
Right. That's true.
Because it was publishing.
Yeah, right.
That's the publishing company that did that.
And
And
now
that
you
was back in the
download
day. Now that business is out. It's gone.
I know.
You can just, and so how does that work? I don't get it. Because you go to a website, is that website paying publishing for all those lyrics or all those? Because lyrics and music, lyrics and music, we know that you get money for lyrics and music.
Sure.
So
They must be.
I understand where the record companies are coming from. That's everything. But this has been going on forever.
I'm kind of surprised. I haven't done a lot of lessons on YouTube. I have a few drum lessons, not based on songs, on my YouTube channel.
Yes.
But I remember when I did a video of Back in Black, and I did a video of I Want You to Want Me. Okay, and it was just because of the drumming of it.
Yeah.
But I couldn't use the music.
Yeah.
On YouTube.
They didn't give you an option?
They didn't give me an option back then.
Different companies give you different options.
But this was 2007.
Okay.
But now I see it all the time. People have the music on while they're playing covers.
Depending. For example, Pat Metheny is for his publishing company. Nope, you cannot use the song on YouTube. No covering it, no nothing. Yeah. But Bruno Mars, for example, probably absolutely. His company's like, sure, you use it, and we'll get publishing from it. But
I can't use Volbeat.
No. You can't use Volbeat?
No, and it's kind of funny
because of their publishing company.
I guess, yeah. It's Universal that shuts me down.
There you go.
So
that's what it is, Universal, right?
Because I have a separate YouTube channel for just for touring.
Yeah.
And it's like tour journals, right?
Yeah.
So I've been doing that
it's nuts.
for years now.
Yeah.
And as background music, I have to use stuff I've played on. I can't use Volbeat music.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I got shut down, and I went on YouTube afterwards, and I said, I had to take the last video down. I know a few of you saw it.
Yeah.
I got to redo it, and I can't post it with Volbeat music. How funny is that?
Yeah.
That I work for the band.
Yeah.
And I can't use their music,
as
great. Background music.
It's great.
And it's great. I'm not actually publicizing
personal
stuff.
Have you spoken to Universal about this? I know this is kind of outside the box, but at the same time, you are literally the drum tech for the band, doing a blog or a vlog about the band or about your travels with the band. I mean, what are they? Are they being stupid? Like
I don't know.
You're not.
I don't know.
You're not giving away the downloads to the music.
In fact, if anything, dismissed it.
Yeah,
unfortunately,
you should have a link on the bottom to the downloads for the music to purchase it if they really, which to be monetized is not a bad thing. I mean, to have advertising support is not a bad thing. If you're using someone's music, that would make sense. See, that I get it. And that's what happens often when you play someone's music and the thing pops up like the song, and you can click on it to go to iTunes or whatever.
Right.
But to take away,
I'm not getting paid for it.
Right.
I don't have that many subscribers.
Right. No, you're not getting paid for it.
I'm not at that level.
So therefore, neither really would they. But if
I'm not,
I don't know how it works.
I list it under copyrights. What I'm supposed to, what the song is, and who owns it or whatever, and just post it. I mean, I don't have Facebook. I don't.
It shouldn't matter anyway.
I don't know.
It shouldn't matter. I know that a lot of YouTubers are very not a lot. The ones that I watch, like Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Is very careful about what he displays online.
Right.
Like he watches videos, but he won't show the video.
Okay.
But he often can play the audio. Like you'll hear the audio in the background, not always, but he's really careful about because he can be shut down.
Yeah.
It can be,
Yeah.
There's so many different scenarios that I'm upset with on YouTube right now. One of my favorite channels is Tyler from Secure Team. think it's Secure Team 10.
Okay. What's that about?
He's like a UFO guy.
Okay.
So good.
Okay.
He's a great reporter. He's a great journalist.
Sure.
Just so honest, and he's thorough, and he's current, and he's always showing really interesting stuff and really great videos. And if it's like a hoaxy thing, he'll kind of like show why it was, and like he's not ever like, and he's not into like conspiracy weird like flat Earth like kind of weird things that like don't make any sense. Like he's just purporting about UFOs.
Okay.
They're unidentified.
Okay.
And those are the ones he's reporting about. But he's got a lot of great interviews and a lot of great stuff. And YouTube has killed his channel because, and the way they killed it is it's existing. But if you search, and you could try this out, if you search UFO on YouTube, all that comes up now in the search engine is CBS, NBC, Smithsonian.
Really?
No small channels are being featured anymore in the search engine for UFOs.
Okay.
He would have been number one.
Right.
If you typed in UFOs, he would have been in the top. Like his videos would have.
So maybe you have to actually put his name in now.
No, I'm wondering about that. But the thing is that they've taken away the ability for people to find him, and he has, by the way, millions of subscribers. He's not small.
Yeah, that's.
But so and they also took away his monetization for a short period of time, and they gave it back, claiming that it's a conspiracy channel.
Right.
Keep in mind, though, even if they were claiming, but the same type of channels exist, but NBC, CBS, those channels are allowed to stay up talking about conspiracy theories.
Right.
But he can't. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't.
And he's this one guy paying his rent because he's been doing this for years.
Yeah.
And he built up 1 million plus subscribers.
Yeah.
And you just pull the plug on him.
Crazy.
So I know it's been really hard for him. I
Wow.
mean, and they have Patreon accounts. Everyone's getting these Patreon accounts. They're asking people now to pick up the slack where YouTube, the multi-billion-dollar company, Google, is not going to support their artists, the people on there. So we have to now pay these people. Wow. It's like TV. It's like TV asking you to like keep like Cheers or Seinfeld on the air.
Right.
Like,
right.
come on, we need money so we can continue to watch this great content.
Right.
Otherwise, we can't do it anymore. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
The other question I had about the cover stuff was, or your opinion anyway.
Good, yeah.
I feel like when I go on YouTube and I see a new young drummer, or because there's so many now and so visible and so accessible now because of YouTube. I don't want to see them play cover songs. I feel like I would just want to see them play.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like all right, great. Well, you can play that song. Awesome. But I want to see you actually. I want to see you groove. I want to see what your personality is.
Right.
In your drumming, not playing somebody else's song.
Yeah.
And we come from when we were learning drums. We played to our favorite songs. I know I did.
Yep.
So I get that. That's what these kids are doing. But that's what they're putting out there.
Yeah.
And I feel like they're shortchanging themselves.
You're totally right. You're totally right. And it's because we're addicted to views, right? So if you're going to if you're going to play a song as a kid, you'd like to play a song that maybe people are going to search.
Right.
But you're touching on something really cool, and I just had an idea. You're the kind of guy that could do this. If you had a community of people that were then sending each other videos of their original drumming and getting support, like coaching from you.
Sure.
Like there was a teacher, a mentor, and then it was a mastermind group of 20 drummers.
Right.
That all had assignments to play original different things each week, and then videotape that and send it in. And then people there'd be a way of critiquing and being accountable for what you did, and then improving on it, and then making changes. You'd give them a list of things that need to work on.
Cool.
What I mean? But I think because then it's like I'm just thinking then what's in it for them is they are getting seen, they are getting heard.
True.
They are getting a community of support, and therefore they're feeling like it's got value.
Right. Yeah, I guess,
That'd be really cool.
You're right,
because you could Zoom with like multiple people now. It's like you can do some crazy stuff.
That's true. Yeah, it's community. Yeah, you can create a community like that. I mean? You're right about the cover thing, getting views, because even it goes back to when we played clubs. No one was hiring our original bands unless we played some cover songs in certain venues.
Well, that's survival too.
But that's because people want to hear something they know.
Yeah.
So putting on YouTube a song like "I Want You to Want Me."
Yeah.
If someone types in "I Want You to Want Me" on YouTube, they might come up on that.
Yeah.
Whereas if, who's going to type in groove?
Yeah, and there are incredible
or
grooves
my
out there,
groove,
but there are drummers that are searching for that. But
yeah,
I
they're
guess,
drummers. Yeah,
I guess with
sure.
that model, it would be like to have like 10% or 20% of covers, and then 80% of originals.
Right.
I mean, that's actually the opposite. In the cover band world, you do the opposite.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 or 1 out of 10 would be an original. If you were to kind of throw in an original, you'd kind of do that in between a couple of songs. Hey, here's one of ours. Here's
right.
this,
Sure.
and then right after that, you go right to the hit again.
Right.
And that's actually a great way to put your song out. And then, hey, we have a CD available. We've done that.
Yeah, that dates back to club days for us.
That makes sense.
Absolutely.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But on a YouTube channel, same kind of thing, actually. I think that same kind of thing would work. If a drummer were to feature, and there are these drummers that are doing that, by the way. There's one of these drummers, and I forget his name. He's that kid that I talked about who drums with fire.
And stuff,
But he does, like, covers to these incredible songs. I don't know whose these songs are. Some of them are these, like, crazy metal bands, or some of them are, like, pop songs. But he's amazing, and produced really well.
Okay.
And then I think maybe mixed into that is original. But here's a cross thing. To do a cover, but do it in a completely original style. Have you seen this videos of this guy that plays drums to like TV clips?
No. Really? That's cool.
Fucking badass.
That's cool.
Really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what he does. It's a YouTube channel.
Okay.
So there's another guy talking about, so here's another way so that guy, I'm not sure what his viewers are, but he's definitely coming up. Like, he's definitely making money from it.
They're thinking about it differently, than just a standard cover.
Now, have you heard about Davey 504?
I've heard
Davey
that.
504,
yeah.
right? Who hasn't? Because Davey 504 is a bass player who's got now 3-4 million followers, subscribers.
Okay.
He's hilarious, and he's really good. Coming from me.
Nice. How old is he?
Good question. Seemed like he's in his late 20s, maybe 30s.
Okay,
maybe.
So he's a young cat. Yeah.
I mean, the kind of guy that.
Probably playing since he was a kid, and
What's up?
Probably playing since he was a kid, and.
Regardless, he's one of those guys that has the ability to play anyone.
Oh yeah,
like he's really, really. So a lot of his challenges are he's done some really creative stuff. So he's funny, but keep in mind to get that millions of subscribers and be a bass player,
right?
And that's your thing,
right?
He's more than that,
right?
He's doing it in a different way. If he was just playing bass grooves, he would not have that,
right?
But he's doing these crazy. So for example, and I think he might have started the trend of going on to Fiverr, hiring people to like try to copy this bass line, impossible bass line, and hiring like 10 professionals and showing the clips of each guy trying to do it. Totally great. Totally great.
Right.
And speaking of that, he actually outed, is not the best word for it, but there's a guy, Charles Buthoud, who works at Faneuil Hall, is an amazing bass player.
Okay. Yeah.
Probably technically, theory-wise, probably better than Davey 504. Okay. He goes as pro bassist on Fiverr. Davey 504 sent him. He was included in Davey's video, and Charles suddenly just went. Pff,
wow.
Subscriber-wise, just
wow.
Bow,
that's fantastic.
He's getting like multiple thousands a day of hits.
Sure.
And he's another guy that is amazing.
I like to see that.
So they're great. Charles is still trying to find his way. He sounds like he's kind of imitating what he's seen, which is fine.
Yeah.
Because Davey 504 is like an icon, I reckon. Yeah. He's so funny, and it seems to be so original with coming up with it. But he knows all those other guys. Like all this YouTube community, like PewDiePie and all those people, they all know each other. Yep. There are all these like 5 million plus subscribers, people who are just making $1 million a year. And one other thing that's wild, this Mr. Beast.
You know what? You gotta send me all
I finally
these
gave into this, so I don't want to. I don't want you to, because you go on the rabbit hole. So I finally watched one of these videos.
You are down the rabbit hole.
I finally watched one of these videos because I can't watch them all. I don't want to. I have other things to do with my life. Yeah. But Mr. Beast is this guy that gets multiple millions of views per video.
Okay.
And the last video he had was, he gets 4 of his friends, I guess.
Yeah.
He gets $1 million in ones, and says the last person to take their hands off wins it.
The last person
to remove their hand from the box wins the money. So everyone else has to keep their hand on top of the money.
Right.
And the 3 people will finally give up and move their hand. If the last person that keeps their hand on wins the money. You get it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like bizarre.
So it's a human social experiment.
Yeah, sure.
With real money and real lives, and
Wow.
and it was a 17-minute video, and I had to watch the whole thing.
Come on. I
Waste
mean,
my life.
it only took 17 minutes?
No, edited.
Okay.
It was no, gosh, no. It was
No, hell no.
They were
They'd be there for days.
No, they were actually oddly enough. No, and I'll
Really?
totally give it away. I mean, in around 30 hours. It was 2 guys left, and around in the 30-hour mark, I think,
How could
give or
you
take.
not sit there?
Because they had to stand,
Oh, okay.
and what happened was the guy's leg cramped up, and he went to just grab it because he was so tired, he just forgot. You just physical
mental.
takes over
Yeah,
right there.
Yeah.
Right
Okay.
there. I mean,
Yeah.
that was it. They were both so confident, but just if left to your own moment there,
Yeah,
you're just going to
sure.
screw it up.
Sure,
You are.
sure.
And the other guy was so bummed out. He was so upset because
That's interesting.
He had
Huh,
lost
okay.
$1 million. So these guys. So the last time I saw the video, when I watched it, it was out for 1 month and had 26 million views. Wow. So they're making the $1 million back
Right.
somehow
Right.
on the video. I mean, $1 million for a video.
I don't know. That's
Well, these guys have like 100 million followers.
yeah, but they could also have sponsors, or they could come
They
for
got a lot
money.
going
Or
on. I don't
who
know. I
knows.
don't know what they're doing.
There's a lot of trust
It's
fund
crazy.
kids out there.
Yep. But these guys are definitely they're the top of their game as far as
Yeah.
they're making more money than
Yeah.
that guy Ryan's
Interesting.
World.
Okay. Don't
And
know
we'll
that
stop
either.
about all this. He's just a kid who's the wealthiest YouTuber
This does
last
sound
year.
like a rabbit hole, Jason.
He was
That's all I gotta say.
wealthiest
Yeah.
YouTuber
Oh,
last
okay.
year. He's like
All right.
7 or 8,
Uh-huh.
and he has his own like toy aisle in Target.
Wow.
He's just a multi-millionaire.
Okay, I want to get back to something.
Yeah, good. Thank you. Because I can go this way forever. It's silliness, but I'm fascinated by it, like most of us are. Like we're on
When did
YouTube.
you make a change from just being a drummer to what you do now?
Oh, Scott, there's so many paths.
It didn't just segue.
No,
into
God, the
your,
overlapping has been
Right.
been nuts.
Right.
I mean,
Remember the year?
no. Let me think about it. Because I mean, we had drumming into magic.
We've both morphed our own ways, but
Yes.
you've morphed away from drumming even.
So yeah, I did
Into
produce.
something.
I did produce a band, and I played drums and bass on it last
I
year.
think I-
So that was fairly recent.
Okay.
Within the year. So that was the last thing I
Were
did.
you
So-
doing some of that stuff when you were actually just doing drums?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I
Right,
produced
okay.
a lot of bands.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
it was a lot of fun, and I still do.
Yeah.
But now I'm absolutely 100% selective.
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
to that
Sure.
to the who that would be with because
Sure.
my bandwidth is
Yep.
narrow but
And
I would
I'm
like
that way too, but
Yeah.
it's because I tour so much.
Well, it's the same thing. It's
know,
either way. I
yeah.
mean, but that's but
Yeah.
you have jobs that you like
Yeah.
to do,
Right.
that you're fascinated and motivated with, and you want to protect that.
Right.
Being successful is not what you say yes to; it's what you say no to.
Right.
I mean, you got to say no to the stuff that just pops
Yeah.
up. You know what
Sure.
I mean? Otherwise, you go crazy.
Sure.
So it went from drumming to overlap into magic,
Okay. Yeah,
overlapping
how's
into
that
being
happen?
an escape artist full time,
Yeah.
and then from that overlapping into coaching.
Okay, so let's go back to
Yeah, I'm like Miles Davis.
From
Every decade of a new style.
okay,
Seriously,
Yeah.
that's seriously what it is. I
from
reinvent
drumming
myself.
to magic.
So drumming to magic.
What is
so
this?
in the '90s, basically, when I'm on tour with bands.
This is stuff I've never gotten to ask him.
Yeah.
By the way,
This
that's
is
why
good stuff. Thanks, man.
This is the day.
So in the '90s, I'm on a tour bus or a van for like a lot of it.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And during that time, I rekindled a passion. It was funny because I was speaking to an ex-girlfriend, and she reminded me. She's like, "Remember you used to do magic when you were in high school?" And I was like, "Wow, I knew I did it when I was a kid.
Did you do like card tricks and stuff?
Card tricks and all kinds of little stuff. When I was a
Okay.
kid, I did magic
Sure.
and even escapes, little things like that.
Sure.
But then I got into drumming and music.
Yeah.
But in the '90s, I had a lot of free time, as you know.
Yep.
You got to have something to do when you're on the road.
Sure.
You got to have some kind of passion. Otherwise, it's just drugs and alcohol and sex,
Right.
which is not the worst thing in the world.
Right. At
But-
that age, anyway.
Yeah, definitely. But in between the drugs, alcohol, and sex,
Yeah.
it was good to do a little bit of I was, studying magic, basically.
Okay.
I was just
All right.
rekindling my love, but in a much more organized way, like really like going for it. Like I got some mentors, people in my life that were like professional magicians who I'd seen. And I got the bug. That's when it started. I got the bug. I'd already done street performing. I'd done music on the street
Right.
in the
Yeah.
90s,
Yeah.
playing drums.
Yep.
And I was watching, so this is how it all overlapped. I was watching magicians and variety artists, jugglers and escape artists doing their thing.
Yep.
And I was like in the back of my head saying, they get to talk to the audience in any way, shape, or form, where as a drummer, I've got moments of talking to the audience, and depending on my role in the band,
Yeah.
maybe none at all, but sometimes a little bit. And
Yep.
like when I play with certain bands, we would rehearse jokes and lines that would be included in, like things that we would do night after night.
Yep.
But if it was my own gig, I'd be able to talk a little bit more. But there's surely no monologue, no stand up, no comedy, no laughter in that sense. And I could do it with my drumming, and give them emotion, but it make them feel something. But I wanted more. Okay. So I was noticing that as I was drumming, I was seeing people laughing and being engaged in a different way. So that was kind of overlapping. So that was the kind of the why behind why I was getting into magic. Because like there's a voice there that I want to express that I can't do in music.
Sure.
And singer-songwriting you can, but it's so static. If you write lyrics that matter, you're relegated to the same lyrics every time you do it. The same fucking story every single time, every night.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which can give you, I think singer-songwriting is the hardest gig ever than anyone, because the ego, it beats up on the ego so much.
Yeah.
I mean, playing your songs, my music that I wrote on my couch crying until I broke up with my boyfriend. I mean, every night the same song. People go, you got to play that song, you got to play that song, you got to play that song. It's like, yeah, but Roxanne was a song that I wrote 20 years ago, and I don't really want to play it anymore. You know, Sting must be thinking, gee, 50 years ago, 100 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
So magic.
Did you do both at the same time?
I did.
You were doing drumming and magic?
Yeah, it was beautiful because I was booking a lot of my bands, so I was able to parlay that into basically booking my magic.
Oh, okay.
So I was able to get walk around. So it was the first thing I was able to do as a magician. I didn't have a show, but I was able to do a set of walk around magic. I had 100 tricks I could do. So I basically just started doing colleges.
Okay.
Basically like, hey, I performed here with my band. Do you guys need a magician?
Yeah.
And it was like that easy. And I just like got myself a bunch of gigs.
Nice.
And realizing that I liked that more at the time.
Yep.
Because it was one person, no drums, less equipment showing up.
Right.
Of course, that changed with my huge tripod now.
Right.
Which is still smaller than a drum set.
Yes.
Way smaller and less to set up.
Yes.
But it was really attractive to me to be able to do these kind of gigs and travel light. It kind of goes in with the minimalism that I live. You know, it's like,
that's great.
Like just travel really light and show up and make money, and actually a lot more money than playing in a band.
When I ran into you again after years, you were doing magic. Mm-hmm. I was with Tiffany Shea, and I remember that we went for pizza.
Yeah.
And you actually showed us a trick that day.
Yeah.
And then years later, I ran into you, and you were doing your tripod escape thing.
The big escape.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's more related, I think, though, right, to magic? The escape
definitely,
stuff than
definitely.
Obviously, magic and drums.
But it's more related to entertaining. So really, what the
Okay.
escape came from was okay. So now I was doing magic on the street because as I already had the skill of street performing as a drummer. So as I was doing gigs, I was also doing magic on the street, and more so in the subway.
Yep.
It was great. I had this like perfect spot at Downtown Crossing outbound from 5 to 9. 5 to 6, I would just kind of chill out. It was rush hour. The trains went too fast. But then at 6, it would slow down. From 6 to 9 p.m., I could make a solid like $100 cash. Nice. I do that like 5 nights a week.
Nice.
I was like $500 cash. I lived in a loft in Dorchester.
Yep.
And I was recording and playing with bands on the side. I was like, it was just really, really good.
Awesome.
It was like really good. And that in the 90s, making like $2,000 a month cash.
That's awesome.
And just doing what I loved. And then I fucked it up because I went on tour with a band. You know what I mean? I didn't say no to something. I should have stayed with it. It's okay though. It all worked out. But I went through a dark period where I kind of got shelved this for another story. But I was stuck in Allentown, Pennsylvania, with a girlfriend who was like 20 years younger than me. What was going on? Like no band, no magic, no nothing.
Right,
I was like stuck in purgatory for some reason.
Wow, how long did that last?
Luckily not long enough.
Okay.
Months, but not too long, and I was able to kick myself back to Boston and start street performing right away with what I had. I knew I could just do this.
Yeah,
I did
sure.
it. And that girl actually, funny enough, sends me a message. We broke up, and then she sends me a message like 3 months later, or a month, something like to the extent of, I'm like 6 months pregnant now. It's not your child. Or something like you totally cheated on me. You're like, wow, okay, great. I don't think I've ever it's the only time I've ever known that I've been cheated on, which is a whole other story. But I've never known that I've been cheated on. It's the only time I've ever known.
I'd rather not know.
I'd rather not know too.
Yeah.
You know, but I think at that time and I didn't write back to her. Oh, go figure. I was like, yeah, I don't think I need to reply to this.
Yeah, why?
Like,
would
why
you
are you even
reply
write?
to
What are you
it?
trying to
And
do?
why are you
She was.
writing
I know what
that?
she was trying to do. I know what she was trying to do.
Yeah, there's always a motive.
Women don't like being broken up with.
Right.
And people don't like being broken up.
That's
with.
true.
But people, I also notice women don't like being broken up with performers. they tend to feel like we have an upper hand because we get to do this awesome thing. We get to continue on with our great lives, and they get a little bit upset about that.
Because it's all fun.
Yeah, they kind of think, right, as if it is. Like, it's
Yeah.
all fun. Breaking up
It's
is so much fun.
Yeah, it's all
you know
fun.
what I mean? Ending a relationship is so much. But they kind of go, well, he's just off now doing this great thing,
Right.
so I'm going to kind of be make him miserable when I act out.
Or try to. Yeah.
So magic. So the street thing started to basically work on magic, and then again more mentors. I've always had mentors. I've always attracted to people that can help.
Right.
You know, because people love helping. They love to help. If you're honest and you know you're working hard and you come up with an action plan and you let the people know, they want to tell you what's going on. They'll help.
Yeah.
So I found more mentors in variety, in street performing.
Right.
So the commonality here was from magic to the straitjacket escape was my wanting to hone down the amount of equipment that I had, the amount of tricks that I did in my show, and have it be a simpler but bigger show.
Right.
So creating more impact.
Yeah.
How can I do something bigger that pays more money, that's worth a bigger tip at the end of the show?
Okay.
So I was thinking, well, a straitjacket escape seems like a really fun thing to do. It packs small and plays big, we say in the business, right?
Yeah.
You know, like a good drummer, sometimes a jazz drummer packs small and plays big. You know what I mean? Get most out of two drums. And so I was it's a straitjacket and rope and a couple of magic tricks all in one case. I did that for years. And then the next thing was, how do I make this even bigger?
Yeah.
And that was when the tripod, the tower, I got picked
How
up
high
in
is
LA.
that?
It's 20 feet.
Wow.
So and
Above concrete, no less.
Yeah, well, so funny when people come up to me and ask me, like, you should put a pillow under there or something. It's like, would it matter?
Not gonna save me.
No, it won't matter at all. It's you're over. You're done with.
Yeah.
You know, no.
Yeah.
I'm hanging from steel. Everything is like either rock climbing equipment, which is meant to hang people off of Mount Everest.
Yeah.
So the rope is that.
Right.
The gear is steel, so that's construction equipment.
Right.
And then the where my ankles go in is aerialist equipment.
Okay.
And it's meant for aerialists to hang in from their hands.
Sure. Yeah.
But I use them on my ankles.
Okay.
Again, through mentorship and learning how to do that. That's one of my wants is like, you can use gravity boots. I don't know if you know what those are. They're boots with hooks on the back.
Okay.
Which is the dumbest thing ever. Because you can it's just enough. If you just somehow lean one way and one ankle goes out, you can unhook those boots, which is the reason why you're supposed to be able to unhook it by yourself. So if you're working gravity, if you want to hang upside down from 0 feet in the air, that's how you do it.
Right.
It's meant so you can get out. But escape artists use gravity boots.
Oh my God.
I'm like, and of course those guys generally are wimps, and they know that it's fucked up to do that, so they don't do it from high up. But even if your head's this high off the ground, falling full. You know
all the
what I
way
mean?
to your body.
And by the way, people always have this misnomer. Once you get to maximum velocity, or what it's called, it doesn't matter how much higher you go. You know what I mean? The speed is the same.
Right.
People think like the Empire State, putting a coin off the Empire State Building. It's not. It doesn't. It's not the high. At some point, it's equilibrium. It's not the higher you are.
Sure.
So at some point, I think 100 feet is the same as 20 feet.
It's more the speed, right?
Yeah, it's the speed that you're going on. 20 might not, but maybe, I don't know what the number is, but I've gone upside down over 100.
Wow.
But I feel safer in that way because I'm hanging off of a crane.
Wow.
I mean, like, what more? I mean, a crane?
How much drumming do you do anymore? Not much.
0, but my New Year's, one of my intentions this year is to get a rehearsal space for my kids.
Okay.
Because I do have a couple of kits and I have things like that.
Yeah.
So that's where that all is morphed to, where it's kind of gone from that's the thing, and then it kind of literally went over from like 90s being full-time drummer to 2020s being full-time on the coaching. By the way, also 10 years ago, 10 years ago, the coaching comes in, and the coaching basically is really just through a lot of coincidence, but
like a motivation.
Yeah, but what happened was really was my mom was in town.
Okay.
And we were walking around Boston, and little did I know, but people were pulling her aside that knew me and were saying that your son has been really helpful with his words, and he's really been supportive, and this and that, and he's really helped me make some changes.
Very nice.
This is before I was coaching.
Yeah, very nice.
So at the end of the day, my mom happens to be a therapist as well. She's retired, but she's a therapist, and especially in bereavement and trauma, and she's just an incredible human being and very knowledgeable in that area of personal development.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, she said, Jason, I spoke to all these people today, and the writing's on the wall. You should be a coach. And she had mentioned that before to me. In the coaching world, I didn't really know much about. I had some coaching with someone that I knew, but it didn't really get it. And sometimes it doesn't work if you don't really fully get it.
Yeah.
It takes some time for it to stick. So I started looking into it, and I ended up just like taking like a full certification. You know, I jumped in full on.
Wow.
And became certified in a year. You know, I
Wow.
had like,
Good
you
for
know,
you.
my multiple hundreds of hours of clients, and I've been doing it for like 10 years now.
Good for you, man.
Yeah.
That's great. Do you go to companies to speak or anything like that? Is it
That's my
any
next
kind of
project
like-
right now, is to work on, I have a couple of companies that I'm talking to right now.
Yep.
Right now I'm working mostly one-on-one with people like yourself, people who are just doing big dreams and goals,
Sure.
or looking to either manage that or looking to go to the next level, or they feel kind of stuck, and they're looking to kind of figure out how to get unstuck and then create an action plan. So coaching is all about transformation.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about transforming. Coaching does not exist without transformation.
Right.
So
Right.
it's all about how can the client transform.
Right.
It's fun.
That's great, man.
It's fun. I love it. It's like, I love it. And I've been a transformer, you know, no pun intended. My 4-year-old loves Transformers. But
Yeah.
I've been a transformer, as you know, with all these different careers.
Yeah.
Keep transforming and reinventing.
No, I think it's great, and
you
that's what you have to do to even keep relevant, so to speak.
keep myself happy.
Yeah, and
that's
that's
thing,
the ultimate
you
goal,
know?
is to be happy, really.
I wish people would understand that more, and that's the reason why I don't personally own property. Well, there's a few reasons, but one of the reasons I haven't gotten into property owning, because it doesn't seem to make me happy. I like where I'm living.
Yeah.
I love being like on the waterfront.
Sure.
Like open the door. My building is not for sale. It's not a possibility to even buy it if I wanted to, and I love where I am.
Right.
At the end of the day, am I happy? I am. If it all ended
That's
today,
number one. That's number one.
I'm happy.
Yeah.
And I don't have
number one.
debt. I don't owe a 20-year mortgage or any of that stuff.
Right.
I don't know. That would stress me out, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, the majority of people have debt.
Yeah.
And they have to think about it every day and going to work to pay that debt, or
Yeah.
whatever debt it is. And then on top of it, a lot of them have wife and kids and
Yep.
mortgage and car payments and
Yep.
all this stuff. And I can understand why people have to go to therapists all the time, because it will drive you freaking nuts.
Yeah.
You know, not that there's anything wrong with going to a therapist. People
Therapy
do
is
it.
great. Therapy versus coaching, though, is a very different model.
Yeah.
You know, and so therapy is often about analysis and,
Yeah.
and looking at the past. Not always the model. I always say this when I talk about therapy, because people
Yeah.
will jump down my throat.
Yeah.
The model has changed. There are therapists who are coaching and
Okay.
coaches who are using therapeutic
Okay.
methods. But coaching, as I said, is always about transformation. Like, I won't let the client sit with a story, with a belief that is less than or lack. I won't entertain that. I won't let the client go there.
Right.
Because I'll have to just acknowledge those words, that those words are not serving them. And all we have is what we think about and the words we use.
Yeah.
That's how it all starts.
Yeah.
Everything. Volbeat started with a thought.
Right.
And then a word, like, let's have a band. And like,
Right.
what's next? It's like,
Right.
that's how it is.
Sure.
But if the thought was, let's have a band, but then I can't have a band because then there'd be no Volbeat.
Right.
So that's simply how it is.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah, you're right.
So
Yeah.
people often need that training. They
Right.
need that habit training.
Sure.
That we've been conditioned to think in a lack way, in a less than way.
Yeah.
If you turn on the news, it's all what we're missing. It's all.
I think it's
about
worse
lack.
now.
Yeah, absolutely, because it's everywhere now. It's not even coming from the news; it's coming from your Facebook feed. I mean, it's coming from everywhere. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's coming from every direction. Now, I believe that what you look for, you'll find.
Yep.
So I believe that but you got to keep in mind where you look.
Yeah.
Like, I'm into positivity, but I'm not going to hang out on Facebook,
Right.
because I know that that's a really challenging place to find that.
Sure.
Not to say there's tons of it out
Right.
there. There is tons of positive stuff on Facebook.
Sure. Yeah.
But I don't need to be victim to a random post about, something really terrible that has happened.
Yeah.
Even if I am completely compassionate and care about it.
Right.
I didn't choose to have that enter my mind at that moment. I'm not ready for it.
Mm-hmm.
And people think it's like, you have to be ready all the time. No, you don't have to be. You can totally take care of your head. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
It's
you have
like,
a
you know what I
choice.
mean? It's a choice.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's I think that there's a lot of things that, well, number one, technology making everything so accessible.
Yeah.
There's a lot of overcrowding everywhere with information.
Yeah.
Everything's watered down.
It's overload.
So
Overload
watered down.
and it's
And there's just too much.
Mm-hmm.
And the attention span has gotten less
Yeah.
because there's too much.
Oh, it's
Even
nuts.
let's talk music, right? So
Are they doing those? Are they using those containers? Those plastic containers
what is that? What do you
that
mean?
bands are using now? And
I don't know what that is.
you got to put your phone inside this little plastic case.
Oh, they're not using it yet,
No.
but I know what you're talking about. A lot of comics do it.
I know a lot of
'Cause they don't
comics
want-
do.
Yeah,
I wish I could do it on the street.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, I see the cell phones every
Yeah,
night.
it's
that's just the way.
and you know the difference because we've all been there.
Yeah.
We remember the lighters
Yeah.
versus a cell
Yeah,
phone.
cell phones.
Now it's like
Yeah.
everyone's got their phone for
Yeah.
every other thing.
Yeah, but
Taking
make
crappy
everything
photos.
so accessible that the worth of things are going down. And like music, and like the music industry, yeah, it's good in one way because you can get yourself out there to way more people faster and easier than you ever could before.
Yep.
You don't have to mail a demo tape or whatever.
No.
It's instant.
Yep.
Phone to phone or whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
But on the flip side of that too is someone comes out with a new record, unless you're really heavily invested in that artist,
Yep.
you might scan through, or most of the times you won't even scan through. It's a blip on the radar. It's
Yeah.
not a big deal anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're a band I was in the 90s is about to release our second record this year after 20 years,
Yeah.
right, of being on a shelf.
Right.
That's
big
the second
difference.
record.
Yeah. Big difference. What band?
And Bumble's Bounce was the one I was talking about earlier. And that's what I was doing the commentary
Keep
for.
talking. We're going well.
So we're really excited about it, and I'll put blurbs out
Yeah,
about the record
sure.
and stuff and, try to get some interest, but it's not going to do, not what it could do, and what do I want
What's
it
the
to
number
do.
of a hit album? Again, I wish I had someone here to look at me. What's the numbers these days for like a Taylor Swift release? Is 800,000 is like massive right now, right?
Like physical copies? That's huge. Physical copies.
Or downloads. I don't know how they
Downloads.
I don't know how they do the numbers.
They
with her.
included, I think. They put them all together.
It's like a percentage of it.
Yeah.
But again, the numbers are so tiny compared to what they used to be.
Physical copies, especially.
crap.
Like now you just want to.
That's like-
everyone's
yeah.
going to download, so
Yeah,
why even print a CD?
So what are you guys going
Why-
to release it on?
We're actually going to release it on CD and vinyl.
CD and vinyl.
And
When I get a
downloads,
CD, I don't even
obviously.
know what to do with it anymore.
I know.
I don't know what to do with it.
Someone, funny because
Yeah.
a
don't
drummer
have
friend of mine texted a bunch of us
Yep.
and said, "Hey, anybody want a 5-disc changer?" Because
No.
what are you going to do with it?
I mean, my car has a disc changer in it because it's a nice.
worst-
It's a 2008. The only reason because it just hasn't been upgraded, and I love it. It's a Bose.
Yeah.
But
But it's all throwaway.
yeah.
Now they're building stuff to be throwaway. It
Yeah,
costs
well,
you more
I mean-
to fix it than
I mean,
replace
you can
it.
do. So just talking about this, about how to release records,
Yeah.
So I mean,
Well, see, vinyls kind of has a little bit of a resurgence going on because of the nostalgia.
fine, but still, yes.
So
and
I mean,
absolutely-
but
absolutely
who's gonna,
yes, and absolutely no.
who's going to buy our vinyl aside
Right.
from our
so
friends
all your
and
fans,
our, the
which
fans
is probably
that
not
actually know
a
that
huge
band.
amount
Not
of fans,
huge.
and
No,
how many
it's
of
not.
those have record players,
Right. Exactly. Right.
and how many of those have CD players?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah.
yeah, the concept was because the woman that I worked with, Lisa, we were talking about how to release
Yeah.
her album, it was an
Yeah.
EP. So you can get flash drives that are actually have a wrap over
Sure.
it that have your logo on
Okay,
it,
sure.
with your information.
Yeah.
And then in like a little almost like a Mentos case, whatever.
Yeah, like a tin.
Tin,
Sure.
those Altoids case.
Yeah,
that
yeah,
type of
yeah.
size tin
Yeah.
with foam cut
Yeah.
out, and maybe next to it either a keychain or something else.
And that's the album.
And that's the album. But
It's cool.
inside there
It's a cool idea.
is the audio download links, but also the audio itself, depending on whether you want
Sure.
to go to get the link,
Yeah.
and also liner notes, video,
Stuff like that.
correspondence,
Yeah. Sure.
email list. I mean, you
Yeah.
can have everything there.
It's a great idea.
That's what
And
they're
I'm
doing.
sure
And there are
there's,
companies that are making that
like
now,
disc makers and all that,
Absolutely,
yeah.
they're all doing
Right.
that now.
Yeah.
So that's
Sure.
the thing, and I think that's kind of cool. And then you can get really creative with what that box looks like.
Yeah.
And you can really make it like, what's the logo for Bumble? What's it called?
Bumble's Bounce.
Bumble's
you know the
Bounce.
Rudolph movie?
I don't. That's
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Yeah, I know. But I know about him.
You never watched it?
Yeah, I know him.
When you were a kid?
Yeah.
And the big abominable snowman that came out and the guy's teeth pulled out.
Yeah.
He's called a Bumble in the movie. Yukon Cornelius.
Bumbles bounce. Okay.
You know, because he falls off a cliff, but he lives.
Okay.
Because Bumbles bounce.
Okay.
That's where he originally came from.
That's good.
And that was back 95, 96 that we started that band. And
if you don't get sued, you could just use the logos of that on the actual tin.
Yeah, no, it was a three-piece band. It is a three-piece band that consisted of acoustic guitar, bass, and drums. And two of us sang. And we just came up with kind of a generic X, O, and 4 lines.
Right.
Meaning drums, acoustic guitar, and bass.
Yeah.
And that ended up being our logo.
Oh, that's cool.
And we still use that.
Yeah.
And that's we haven't played together in 20 years or whatever. So that's and this record came off the shelf. It was on ADAT. It was recorded on ADAT tape. And we tried to transfer it into digital and revamp it and record new stuff and whatever.
In my rehearsal space, we have the guy that I share it with has, and I remember when he got them too. He has a 24 track of ADAT,
right?
All in road cases.
Yeah.
And I remember he had the studio in Dorchester, and I remember hearing them recording on those ADATs. And I remember being at Berkeley, and a guy, Jeff Keezer, who's one of the greatest jazz piano players alive now. I went to school with when I went to Berkeley, man. I'm surely not these guys, but I hung out with some of the best musicians in the world. Nice. They're up and coming, but they are. Jeff Keezer, I remember him having look like an Apple Mac C, like a huge Mac with all these wires coming out of it to record music onto in like 1989, 1990.
Wow.
Right?
Way ahead
and
of
we
the
were
curve.
just like, what is
Way
this?
ahead of the curve.
He brought with him a full computer and and all these cables, there's tons of wires, and it was like all this like science project.
Yeah, before it was
and I remember hearing a little playback of it, and it was like amazing.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
And I was like, wow,
that is pretty cool.
That's really clear sounding.
Yeah,
I never heard that before.
Yeah, right. That's cool.
Those guys are like MIDIing their pianos and doing whatever.
Yeah. The guy I record with a lot is one of those gadget guys where he'll build stuff to make it happen and all that. And he was the guy to do the Bumbles Bounce record. He did a Catrin record. A bunch of stuff I had played on back then. Right. And we still work with him today. We were there last night mastering songs. Yeah. And he has moved, a bunch of different places. But when we started with him, it was like 4-track reel-to-reel. Yeah. And then it went to ADAT after that. Yep. And now it's all, obviously digital. Cubase and other programs, but he's a freaking mad scientist, that guy.
I had a
Mark
chance
Daly,
to buy,
by the way, Daggett Productions.
Oh, yeah?
Mark Daly.
I had a chance to buy a $400 TIAC 4-track.
Did you?
Back in the 80s.
Okay.
It was like, I apprenticed at a recording studio when I was in high school. And, they were like, hey, you want this?
Yeah.
I should have grabbed it.
Yeah, you should have grabbed it.
Jesus, that would have been so cool.
But
tape's obsolete or what?
2 inches available.
This was
still people.
This was not 2 inch.
Machines.
This was a 1/4 inch 2-track, a 1/4 inch 4-track, I think.
Right.
Maybe 1.0 was a 1/4 inch.
Yeah.
So I want to. Before we have a little more time, but I would like. We're about an hour and a half in. This is great. So aside from the band, you teach, right?
Yeah. I've been.
You've been doing that for a while.
Yeah, I started in mid-90s, and it really gave me a way to get out of a regular 9-to-5. Mm-hmm. And I had gotten hurt actually on my 9-to-5, and my shoulder, and I saw myself not being able to play.
Right.
And I was like, no more.
Yeah.
And I quit. Got healed. And I
What happened?
Tried to think. I was doing shipping receiving, and I was moving stuff off a pallet, and I moved the wrong way, and it tweaked my rotator cuff.
Yeah.
So, luckily, I didn't tear it.
Right.
So I didn't have to have an operation. But I had to go through rehab and all that to get it back to strength. And I had decided that I needed to find another way to make money with drums. And so teaching was something I had never done, but I figured I'd give it a shot.
Yeah.
And I met this guy who, his dad had a music shop way before this time. who changed it over to just teaching. So I went in and I applied with 2 other guys that were a lot older than me, probably more experienced than me, especially as teachers. And he chose me because he thought I'd be more relatable to the kids.
How old were you?
25, 26. And I was in bands recording records, and I was playing live a lot.
I'm sure, and you have probably had the excuse, and I love just bringing those things out. You had the excuse that I'm too young compared to these guys, and oddly enough, that was the good thing.
What made me,
right, that was the thing that you needed.
And I've actually taught for him since then.
Yeah.
And I'm still teaching for him.
Yeah.
I had moved to California for a bunch of years, and I had left.
The Tiffany thing?
That was Dallas. That was
okay.
Before
that's right.
that.
Yeah, I knew that she was somewhere.
Yeah, she was
warmer.
in Dallas. That was 2001 or 2, and I played with her till 2005.
Yeah.
Which actually, funny story, maybe not funny, but coincidental story. She's how I ended up with Volbeat.
Interesting.
Right. So we'll talk about that.
Okay.
I got burnt out because I was teaching 60 kids a week.
That's a lot.
Half-hour one-on-ones.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Which isn't, it's only 30 hours, but it's a lot of personalities.
Yeah.
It's a lot of different styles.
30 hours of actual teaching time, but you got to think about breathing time in between and getting there and back, and it's not.
Right. And I loved it up to the point where I needed to move. Because at that point, I was 38 at that point. And I said, man, I could stay here and just make a living doing this. Mm-hmm. And play in bands whenever I wanted and just do drums. But there was still things that I hadn't done I wanted to do, things I wanted to see.
Yep.
And so I said, screw it. And I packed everything in my truck and I drove out to California. 2008. Didn't teach at all out there. Didn't really play in a band at all. Until probably 2010 or 2009. So about first year, I went out and I found the crew life. Not even the tour crew life, the local crew life. I didn't even realize it existed, to be honest. I never knew anything about it. Being a stagehand. No idea. Right? I got turned on to even just being a stagehand from a tour manager a stage manager for Poison, who ended up marrying Tiffany Shea.
Poison, one of the worst live performances on like Leno. They were so bad. Like not even barely able to play their instruments. But I'll get to that. We were talking about teaching first, but the sidebar there. Oh my God, they were terrible.
The teaching part, I loved it, and I still keep in touch with certain students that I taught when I was little. Are you
teaching currently? You are, but
I am teaching now when I'm home.
Yeah.
And I have subs that take over when I'm gone. And I have my own drum room now that I can record in, teach in, do video editing, whatever I want to do.
Great.
And this is all, I could walk from my house, which is awesome.
Yeah, that's what you want.
And the owner of the school allows me to do that. And I pay him a monthly rent, and I use the room for whatever I want to use it for. So I do have students now. I only teach 2 days a week right now, but I am available to do whenever I want to teach. I'm starting to get into Skype lessons. I don't know exactly how I'm working that yet. I have one coming up. It's going to be my first one trying it.
That's great.
So I want to see how that's going to work with video. And
me too.
Am I able to hear you and see me the correct way? And
I
got to work with it. So I am going to. So I am starting to get into that, and I also do a little bit of consulting with people that want to know more about being a drum tech or being a teacher or really anything that they are interested in that they see me doing. And you can, it's all through my website, peteabdou.com.
Yeah, we're gonna leave all the links.
Yeah. So you can
in the bottom.
Yeah. Good. You can ask them.
Yeah. Well, I'm just commenting because the piece that I don't want to overlook, as you're talking about your mentoring and helping people with what you do, is the thing that you did that you might not teach or you might not remember to teach is that you change your environment. Right. Like you knew that if you were here, you were going to be locked into something, and you knew that you had to literally, instead of relying on your willpower to to not show up and not continue what you're doing, you had to leave here. To leave the gig that was sustaining you. Right. I have a friend, a performer, who's just did the same thing. He left Faneuil Hall, performing, which is easy money, and he went to L.A. and he's not doing it anymore. Over. And he's just, he had to, otherwise he'd keep coming back. Yeah. You would have kept your 30 students. You just would have kept those students.
Right. You know what I mean? And I would have built up
60,
more.
Whatever. You would have kept those students.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So
and there's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with
it's
that.
just not what I wanted.
But if if you're being,
going to make me happy.
That's exactly nothing wrong with that. But if it doesn't make you happy, then there is something wrong with that.
Right.
Absolutely, 100% something wrong with that, because
For me.
you have a right to be happy.
Yes.
And so the fact that you made that change
Yeah.
supersedes everything. That's
Sure.
like
Sure.
without that,
I agree.
the other stuff would have been so difficult.
Yep. Yep.
And not to say that wasn't difficult to move away,
Right.
but
Right. There's so many
So I wanted
things
to
that
put that out there.
opened up, and you're right. By me dropping what I was comfortable with
yep, thank you.
and moving that 3,000 miles away,
That's it.
not knowing what was going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, I was painting patio furniture with teak oil for people just to make money
It's great.
when I was out there.
It's great.
But
it's
I was
great.
being a stagehand on the side, and that kept me in music, which led to me being a touring crew guy, because I was seeing how it worked at the same time.
You had your eyes open.
You
You
know?
had your eyes on the prize. You had a GPS set for what you wanted. You had a
Right.
picture of what it looked like, and anything you do would basically bring you towards that. No matter what you did, whether it's teaking a fence, whatever, it's all going to bring you back towards the main goal.
Sure.
As long as you have a goal.
Yeah,
As
sure.
long as you have an idea of where you want to go.
Sure.
And that's the magic in it. It's
Yeah.
no matter where you go with it, as long as you know where,
Yep.
you're gonna recalculate.
Yep.
The GPS. You're gonna go right back.
Yeah.
Course correct, as I call it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So cool. So tell me more about. I really love the idea of you sharing and teaching other people how to be in the business.
Yeah.
So how is that showing up right now? As being are you consulting people about tech? Because
I get
how are you doing
emails
that?
actually right now.
Yeah.
I keep getting emails from people, and some people are really direct, like, how do I get into Volbeat's crew?
Sure. Yeah.
Other people are kind of roundabout, hey, I'm a drummer, and I really thought about being a drum tech, but, I know how to set up drums.
Yep.
What is this about? And
Sure.
I do email them back and try to give them as much of advice
Yeah.
as I can
Yeah.
about that. But I offer that on the phone. I offer that by video, Skype, all on my website.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
if you
Right, you can hire-
want to
you can-
get more into detail
hire,
about
yeah.
it, call me or you can hire me for that.
Yeah.
I think the important thing about, especially me teaching kids, if they really want to be, like, do it for a living, music in general,
Yeah.
I try to tell them not to pigeonhole themselves into one style or one instrument even.
Yeah.
Or if you're really just, all you want to do is drums, all you want to do is bass guitar, whatever, find every branch of that instrument that you can do, which might mean teaching, being a crew guy setting up drums,
Yeah.
all that stuff.
Yep.
I was stage managing in L.A. When I first moved out
Yeah.
there, and that's how I met a band I joined later in San Diego.
Yep.
It's just like playing in a band with 4 other bands on the bill and not saying, I only play this style. Because you're out there networking with people, and they're
Yep.
like, oh, can you play this style?
Yep.
You say yes.
Yeah.
And sometimes even if you can't.
Yeah. We've been there.
Because
You and I definitely, man.
Yeah.
We do it. We do it
Yeah.
all always.
because you're going
when
to
we
get
play.
another gig, which might lead to another gig
Yep.
and spread
Yep.
out,
Sure.
and it'll keep you working.
Yeah, and you can learn.
You know?
The how-to is these days. I always talk about this. The how-to is available, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't need to do much to
Right. Right.
pick up a gig.
If I was closed off from setting up for other people, I wouldn't have seen most of the world that I've seen so far
Yeah.
in the last 8
I
years.
follow your Instagram, which we'll put all the
any of that
links. But
stuff.
that's so cool to watch
You
you at
know?
different airports and different traveling in different
Right.
spaces.
And
It's so cool.
You have to find, number one, as we said, you have to find happiness. And you have to be happy doing what you're doing. And if you're not, do something else. Mm-hmm. But if you can find happiness doing something that you love to do, that's huge.
Yeah.
And for me, it was not just playing the instrument.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what I try to get across.
Yeah.
Is there are so many other things you can do
Yeah.
related to that instrument.
Yep.
You just have to find it and make that happen.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to help with that.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I'm happy to give you or
Sure.
tell you my story of how I got here. Because if I mentioned Katrin earlier, right?
Yeah.
I was playing at the Barn with Katrin in 2001. and Tiffany Shea was there
Yeah.
in the audience. She happened to be burnt out, taking a year off, hung out in Boston because she had an aunt in Andover or something.
Yeah.
And she was at that gig just watching bands. And after the show, this is very important too, by the way, if you're a musician, don't just pack up your stuff and leave the club after the show. You have to talk to people.
That's where all the magic happens.
Right. You sit after the show and you talk to other musicians and other artists.
That's where it all happens.
Right.
Community, man. You
That's
can't do
the
this on your
first
own.
mistake that
Yeah.
people make when they go play a show,
Yeah.
is they
Yeah.
pack up and leave.
Yeah.
Whether it's ego or whatever it is, they leave.
Yeah.
That's the first mistake.
There's always an excuse
Out the window.
to pack up.
Yeah. So I sat and talked to Tiffany for a little while and realized she was a musician. She told me her whole story, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah. Long story short, next thing I know, I'm out of Captain's band and I'm playing in Tiffany's band in Dallas, Texas.
Yeah.
I've always been one of those guys that I have kind of a 2-year lifespan with a project.
Yeah.
And if it's not making any forward momentum, I find
Fair.
something else.
In the music business, I think that's fair.
I give it 2 years
2 is fair.
of dedication,
Sure,
and I do other
absolutely.
projects
Yeah.
and stuff, but that's my main thing.
Yeah.
Right. So my 2 years had kind of come up right when I met Tiffany, with Katrin, and I decided to go to Dallas, played with her.
Yep.
I was with her for 3 years.
Yep.
And I toured with her and whatever. And when that fell apart, I went off and did something else, some other bands. But that encounter with Tiffany led to this gig through a tour manager that she ended up marrying years later. My move, actually, the work I got in California came from that guy because she had moved back to Dallas and toured with a band called Blue October. And she was merch. The tour manager, or the sound guy rather, was this guy, Jeff. Mm-hmm. And they met and they hit it off. So Poison comes to Boston, and Jeff's the stage manager for that gig. Tiffany says, hey, my friend Jeff is stage managing Poison, just told me that they might need a guy on the road to do drums, to set up drums for Ricky. And I said, oh, that's kind of cool. Never really thought about that. So I went down just to meet him, because I had never met Jeff. And so I went down and I met Jeff, hung out with him, met the tour manager, said, hey, yeah, I'm available if you need me tomorrow, whatever.
Yeah.
Go on tour, great. And yeah,
There you go.
whatever, right? Didn't happen.
Right. Okay.
It didn't happen.
That didn't happen.
No. So it didn't happen. They kept the guy that they had. But I made the effort to go down there and meet this guy. Mm-hmm. So while I was with this tour manager, I said, I'm about to move to California. So this was 2008. I'm about to move to California, but I can do this tour for you before I move if you want me to. And he goes, oh, all right, that's cool. I'll let you know tomorrow. Calls me up, says, listen, we're going to keep this guy, but since you moved to California, I know this guy, Mike Hirsch, who runs a labor company in California. Grew up with this guy. When you get to California, call him. He'll give you a job. Mm-hmm. So 3 days after moving to California, I got that job. Yeah. And I was a stagehand making money instantly.
Yeah.
At all the arenas in the area.
Yeah.
Setting up for bands.
I'm not surprised.
It
doesn't always happen that way for people, but
you have to you have to keep yourself open to it.
You got to keep yourself open to it. To go there, to not believe that would happen.
Right.
So we put in a pin on this for earlier, so about scheduling, just about managing your schedule.
Sure.
And this kind of ties in well. It's good advice for just to let people know what's the inside scoop on how are you managing your schedule. What is it and how do you manage it?
Okay, so
physically?
With Volbeat, I'm on tour. Some years it's 8 months, off and on. They'll usually do a 6-week run, and we have 2 weeks off, and then we do a six week run back and forth.
Yeah.
This year's a little less. I try to, if I have projects, like recording projects, I try to take the work with me because I do have downtime on the road. We have days off in hotels. I have time off during the day, whereas I don't always get to it when I'm at a venue.
Yeah.
So I try to do any editing, video editing, stuff I film on the road, whatever, while I'm on the road.
You're doing that regularly?
What's that?
You do that regularly?
I did up to about a year ago, I think.
All right, get back into that.
About tour stuff.
Got to keep it going.
Yeah.
Otherwise, stop it. But
yeah, no, I know.
Consistency is so important on that stuff.
So
So
I do that stuff on the road, and when I do get home, I need a decompression time.
Sure.
Just like anybody that's traveling, I think. So I usually take the first week to gather my thoughts again, being at home, and figure out when I'm going back out.
Yeah.
And I try to figure out, okay, well, I got this project I want to finish in the recording studio. I have this video project, and I work it out so that I try to do the same thing on the same day every week.
Yeah.
So I know Monday is going to be my video editing day.
Great. Yeah, that's great.
And then Tuesdays, I'm in the recording studio
Yeah.
with these guys until that album's done.
Yeah.
And then maybe another one starts, depending.
Sure.
You know, so I try to do it that way, where I keep consistent every week. That I know Monday I'm here, or Tuesday I'm doing this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I work it out that way. And it's usually stuff that, because I record, I do video, I teach. Teaching's a little trickier because you come and go so much.
Yeah.
And the kids want consistency. So I always offer online stuff to them when I'm on the road.
Yeah.
Because I do have time to get on the phone with them or on video Skype to check on them if they need it. But I usually have to hand them off to a sub teacher. And I give them the option to stay with them if they want to, because I understand consistency is important.
So you have a certain day for like add-ons, or for kids that you have a certain extra space for lessons?
For lessons, I have 2 days dedicated to lessons.
Okay, yeah, that's good.
Face-to-face lessons. Right. And then if I do online stuff, it's usually in the gaps.
Right.
Wherever it's available.
So what's the biggest challenge about the schedule for you? Is it just the fact that you're just
me sticking with it?
Sticking with it?
Me sticking with when I'm home.
Yeah.
You know, that's the biggest challenge for me.
It's such a major shift.
It is.
I mean, you know what I mean?
It is. It's
like
a different world.
Home is not even home anymore.
No, it's a different
world. It
world.
is, but it's like you're away more than you're not away.
Right. Like we were talking about, my suitcase is open for the first week that I'm home.
Yeah. Yeah.
And stuff isn't even in drawers, you know.
Right.
I'm still pulling stuff out of the suitcase.
Yeah.
Because that's what you're accustomed to. You become accustomed to that. You know, you're living out of one bag. You know.
Well, that's how earlier before the mic was on, we talked about one bag living, OBL, which is definitely what you do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
so the home stuff's trickier for me for sure. Now it is, because it's been so long.
Right.
Because I've been touring for 10 years.
Yeah.
8 years with Volbeat.
Yeah.
You know, and it becomes routine. And you expect to be on the road at this time, or you expect to be on the road at this time.
Yeah.
Now, bands don't always tour. They might take a year off.
Do you eat at home?
Do I what?
Do you eat when you're
I
off
do
the road?
eat at home, not as much
food?
as I should.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So, I can
But I
imagine
do.
also being hard.
It is. Yeah.
And what do you guys eat on the road? I'm just curious. Is it like you got cater, or is it just like whatever?
Depends on
a lot of time
the
on the
level
road.
of the tour. When we're doing Europe, usually if
Yep.
if they're headlining,
Yep.
we carry catering with us.
Cool.
So they know what they're supposed to cook for everybody, if you're vegan or
Yeah,
veg or
sure.
whatever.
Good. That's good food.
But when you're a club band,
Yep.
like I started with them when they were a club band,
Yep,
and we
that's
were
right.
in House of Blues and smaller places
Yep.
and whatever, and you had a bus and a trailer, and you didn't just do drum tech. You unloaded the trailers and you helped set up everything
Yeah,
and,
sure.
and all
Yeah.
that. So you see a progression as they get bigger, because now you got 2 buses and 2 trailers.
Yeah.
Or maybe you have 2 buses and a semi, and the production gets bigger. And, they
Yeah.
hired this guy now.
Yeah,
They hired,
yeah.
So it expands.
Yeah.
Same thing with catering. You know, I mean, you can only eat Jimmy John's so much.
Yeah, that's
or
my
Subway
concern. Yeah,
so
that's-
much. You know,
those
when you're on
bands
the
that are
road.
kind of always on the struggling and never
know.
get it, and there's 10, 20, 30 years of fast food.
Yeah.
It's really bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really, really bad.
Fortunately, I'm late in the game getting into it,
Yeah.
and the food's better.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the fast food.
There's more options,
But there's
though.
more
There are
options
more options,
now
even
where you
fast
can
food, there's more
avoid it if
options,
you
you know
really
what I
want
mean?
to on the road.
Well, too bad there's not In-N-Out all over the world.
I don't like it.
Oh my, what?
I don't. You didn't see my comment on that?
What was your comment?
I said gross.
Oh, did you write that?
Yeah.
I would eat that 3 times a week.
My guitar tech, same thing.
I love it.
I hate it.
Fucking love it. I love it, love it, love it. The French fries, everything about
Especially when I
place.
lived in California.
So good. And maybe because I'm sure, knowing me, I'd burn out on it if I
I
was
thought Carl's
there.
Jr. was better. I so Fat Burger was better.
I haven't had
there was
anything
so many
that I think is better
out in California.
I haven't seen. Well, I haven't had enough time to really,
Yeah.
peruse all different gourmet burger joints.
Yeah.
But they all seem to come out of the In-N-Out thing.
Right.
And in the East Coast, In-N-Out stuff is like all the Five Guys. It's first of all, it's 3 times the price.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
In-N-Out is $2
true.
for a burger.
No,
versus
it's true.
$6.
That's true.
I don't need to spend $6 on a fast food burger.
Right.
Because you're Five Guys.
You don't feel like you're eating McDonald's though? Eating In-N-Out?
I don't think it tastes like McDonald's at all.
No? Okay.
I really think it tastes way better.
All right.
Yeah, I know
a lot of people that love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I haven't,
so hungry.
I haven't eten beef in over 10 years.
Oh, well, there you go.
That's the other thing.
They make grilled cheese. They have a secret menu.
I know
you can order grilled cheese.
I know they do.
So
I ate, 2008 when I moved to California. I was still eating beef, and I'm not a vegetarian, and I just cut beef out of my diet to see how I would feel, and I never went back to it.
Yeah.
And to be honest, like I've taken a bite of a burger and I immediately feel sick. Like my body isn't used to it anymore.
Yeah.
It changes. Your body changes.
It does.
Depending on what you're eating. You know? So especially after 10 years, not eating something like that, your body's like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, I choose not to be too educated about food because it just drives me nuts. I can't seem to eat anything if I I'll just never eat anything else.
Right.
Like, I know that green veggies, are the way to go. I know that, you know what I mean, for the most part. And
sure.
A little bit of legumes and, beans and things like that are good too.
Sure.
A little bit of fruit.
Yeah.
Zero sugars, zero processed foods. Like that shit, none of it needs to be there.
Right.
When I do that, and then when I do that, I generally can stay pretty healthy.
Sure.
I mean, it's pretty obvious. And there's a little bit of meat.
Yep.
More like it's like. And I used to work at Chinese restaurants in high school, and they used to laugh at the Americans because we had this big pile of meat and a little bit of veggies, and they did the exact opposite.
Right.
Big thing of rice, tons of veggies, and a little bit of fish or meat.
Yep.
Because that's how you eat. But they used to laugh at Americans.
My list.
Yeah. We got a few minutes. What else is?
I know we're running out of time. I feel like we need more time.
No, once I get to a better setup,
maybe we'll do a part 2.
We can do a part 2. Actually, that's definitely because.
I'd love to.
I'd love
to. There are a lot of things.
Yeah, man.
So scheduling, you were talking about.
Yeah, I know you had something to say about that.
I think that there's too many procrastinators within this age and era now too. I know there are procrastinators in our generation.
Yeah, I don't really much sure what's changed, but actually, it's way easier. It's way easier to be distracted.
Yeah,
and to feel that you're actually being busy and you're not.
Right. And
really procrastinate. Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
It happened as the scheduling thing, though. We'll talk about the procrastination, but the scheduling thing happened with my bass player the other night about getting together to do that commentary I told you we were doing. Because we're including video commentary with the record, right? So I had scheduled a week prior. Hey, Tuesday at 7 at my studio?
Yep.
No problem, I'll be there. So the day of, I texted him again. I say, you good for tonight, 7 o'clock? Oh, no, I thought it was Thursday. And I'm like, dude, read your texts.
Yeah.
So he went back to his text. Oh, yeah, let me ask my wife. All right. So he showed up. But my point is this. Because I said to my singer, I said, I wish they made an electronic device that you could carry around and you could keep a calendar in.
I know. Wouldn't that be nice?
What the fuck, people?
If you choose to use it. I mean, you got to be vigilant, and you have to be vigilant. Yeah, you have to literally, and thank God the technology's caught up.
Right.
Because now I can actually use voice, just use and say,
schedule
Tuesday at 3:30 p.m. with Pete.
Yes.
And then there it is, and it's in, and it's all set. And but I also look at my calendar. I have a whole thing about routines. The night before I look at my calendar for the next day. I write down the things I'm going to do, and then the next morning I look at it again. I rewrite those things. It's like I'm very intentional about the day, so nothing is a surprise, and so that won't happen for me.
Do you wake up and look at your calendar? Or while you have breakfast maybe or something, look at the calendar for the day or anything like that?
Yeah.
Because I make it a point to look at it in the morning and when I go to bed.
Yeah, the morning's all about me.
So I know what's the next day is.
Exactly. So the night before, I'm looking at my calendar, I'm getting ahead of my day.
Yeah.
And then the morning, I'm doing it again. I'm actually also emailing. I have accountability partners that I use.
Okay.
So I actually email a couple of different people, like 4 sentences max of different things that I'm working on to kind of put some skin in the game. Like, this is what I'm going to do today. At the end of the day, I actually write back whether or not I did it or not.
Right. Well, they can call you on it.
Yep. Well, they don't need to. because then it's not on them. It's not on them.
Good.
It's all on me. I'm the one. I'm accountable for myself.
But they also might just ask you off just for the hell of it.
Oh, sure.
Hey, did you do that thing you were saying?
Well, they don't have to ask me. What they will do is, they might be curious if I keep not following through.
Right.
They might say, "Hey, Jason, you're not following through."
Right.
But see, that piece is not there, and the person I'm working with is not. She's not a coach. This one person, the other person is, but she's not a coach. She's not really necessarily trained to necessarily help in that sense, but she can. But it's not her place. Her place is to receive.
Okay.
And so I'm doing it for her too.
I get that. Sure.
So her place is to email me.
Sure.
So it's are you going to show up? And how you do one thing is how you do everything.
Right.
So if I can't email her in the morning, first of all, if I can't write the draft the night before and know what I'm going to write, that's crazy. It's all on me. And then in the morning, if I can't write her and send that out to her for 30 seconds and do that, it's all on me.
Right.
And if I can't do the things that I said I was going to do, that's all on me. And if at night, if I don't write her and say that I did it or didn't do it, that's all on me. She's just a receiver to that, but it's a very powerful thing to have a receiver versus no one.
Sure.
Whereas all those actions wouldn't be there. The only action would be there is, I hope I remember to do the things in the middle of the day that I was supposed to do, but all those other things just are helping that.
It's harder to hold yourself accountable if you don't put that out there. Just like the email thing you're talking about.
Well, where's the accountability?
Right.
And then we're talking about willpower, and willpower doesn't work.
Right.
If you rely on willpower. So, a good example of willpower is, if you don't want to eat sweets, but you have a brownie in your cabinet, well, then there's a good chance you're eating it. You're relying on willpower not to grab it. But if you don't have a brownie in the cabinet and you say your weakness is at 11 o'clock at night, you're just not going to eat it. It's not there. Like, that's so much easier.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of changing your environment to optimize your fucking life.
Sure.
Yep. Yeah, man.
Absolutely.
So the scheduling, it's funny. So, it's people are not being intentional at all with their time, and they're also abusing their devices. They're not using their devices as just a great comment you said. Wouldn't it be nice if it had a voice activated scheduling system that connected to like other people's calendars that sent out emails.
We should really invent one of those.
Reminders and stuff. Another thing you could do though, so this is another thing that you can do though.
Yeah.
Is do the email invitations. If you're not doing that to these people, you could be using a calendar system like Square Appointments or Calendly that send out a reminder email that we have an appointment send out the day before. As we have an appointment, are you going to be there or not? And cancel if you don't. You can use that for your shit. You can use that for all your shit.
Yeah.
That's
a good point.
And your band is a business.
Sure.
So why wouldn't you? If you do the same, if you're going to put a dentist in your calendar, why wouldn't you put your band? You could tell your guy that. It's like if you schedule like something else in there, why isn't your dream and goal in there, which is being in a band and getting somewhere with this? And if you don't want to do that, then why do you not, or why do you want to do it? If there's no why behind it, then what are we doing here? Like, let's not do this. Like, I'll do this with somebody else. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. The procrastination.
It's a good
part,
word
I can't say that word.
Yeah, it's a hard word.
Oh my God.
You're procrastinating on the word.
Yes.
That's what I'm trying to say. What about it?
I think we live in a world of procrastinators. And more so now, but I think that would cure that, what you're talking about too. I think if they made themselves accountable for it by making that list of 4 things and sending it to people, now people know that, this is what this person's doing today.
And I can talk you through it more about even how I do it. I can give you more details on that.
That'd be
you
great.
know what I mean? And maybe I can spend another video on that.
For sure.
Where I can really go into detail on that.
Are we out of time or out of time?
We're closing up. Yeah, I got a few minutes. Luckily, I want to save enough time to render the recording, since this is a. We're in a studio that has a time limit.
Right.
But a few minutes.
Gotcha. Cool.
I actually have a session at 1:30. I'm back to back today.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's tight.
What are you doing? Coach session.
Coaching.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, which is good stuff. But anything else you want to wrap up?
Yeah, let me just look real quick.
And if not, I want to tell people where they can reach you and stuff like that.
Okay. We touched on a lot of this. It's good. I didn't even have to look at it.
Yeah, no, I noticed that. That's good. Yeah, I did. I decided to go into these things without notes for now.
It's good.
I know. Really, I'm curious enough. And
the only other thing I want to say to the young musicians out there: stop trying to shortcut it. It's so easy to try and shortcut with the technology we have now.
So what do you mean by that? What do you mean by shortcut?
Me and you come from paying your dues and getting out there and doing it.
Absolutely.
And getting out there in the clubs and playing with bands and all that. A lot of musicians that are in the new generation of musicians are shortcutting that. They're not getting out there and doing that.
Are they thinking that social media is the way?
They're trying to do it all social media, all online.
Yeah.
They're not even getting to, I mean, I teach at a music school.
Yeah.
Nobody gets together and plays in that school.
Yep.
Nobody. Unless we form a rock camp or we
But when I was at
promote-
Berkeley in the 90s, when the teacher asked us how many people were in bands, I was the only one to raise my hand out of a group of like
It's
40,
crazy.
50 people.
That's
So
crazy.
there's something there. So I guess what I want to add to that is it's nothing new about the fear of getting out there.
Right.
I'm at a music school 20 years ago with other musicians, and I'm the only one in a band out of 50 people in a room. I mean, there's a reason for that because people, it's so much easier to do this and to do the arm's length stuff where you're not up front with people, and that means you got to get out. You got to get out there.
Face to face, not Facebook.
So what would be their first action step to not hide behind social media, and instead of picking up the video camera to record a beat or something like that, what other action step could they take to further them into being a true, great, to being really out there? What would they do?
Finding other musicians in school.
Great. What
Your
else?
classmates that play.
Talk to people.
If you
reach out.
go for private lessons,
Yeah.
there's obviously other people taking private lessons at these schools. And there's bulletin boards.
Yep.
Put up that you're looking for a drummer to play with or a bass player to play with or whatever. You have to put it out there for anything to happen,
Absolutely.
right?
That's
Not
so
just
good.
sitting
That's
in
so
your
good.
room playing
Yeah.
and videotaping yourself and just putting it online. Yeah, people are going to see you, but also if you're doing these videos and that's because you're too shy or whatever and you want to keep doing these videos, put in that video that you're looking for someone to play with.
Absolutely, it's a good ad. I mean, use it for an ad.
Use it as an ad.
Have a call to action at the end saying, "Hey, hire me, use me."
Right.
People
but
have gotten
ultimately,
gigs that
actually
way.
go out there and do it if,
Yeah,
if you get that opportunity.
And I love that. So I have a memory of being at Berklee College of Music and listening, going to the practice studios and listening for other musicians to hear how they sounded and then knocking on their door.
Sure.
Brave as fuck. I mean, was I a great drummer? I was potentially great. Knocking on their door and being like, "Can I jam? Do you want to jam?"
Yeah.
And you could see some of the fear in their eyes. They had the same fear. They were like, "Oh, you mean I have to be good in front of someone else?
Right.
You mean I have to show up and fail in front of someone else?" Yeah, you kind of do.
It's going to
kinda
make
do.
you stronger.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to make you worth more as a musician because you've actually gone through that. And people that play with you that might have already gone through that are going to look at you like, oh, you're just playing in your bedroom and on YouTube. You don't have any experience playing in a club or going on tour in a van. You have no experience for that. Well, next.
Yeah.
Next guy. Next girl.
It's true. I
know?
mean, the combination of getting out there and then enjoying what all the experience around it, the life experience of being in a jam session or communicating with people after and before the gig is going to create like personality, and you're going to become like a durable, reliable performer that people are going to want to take on the road. You could be the best drummer in the world, but if you're an asshole, they're not going to want to tour with you.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Bringing you back to maybe what's going on. I don't know, but in Aerosmith or bands where maybe someone's maybe they're really hard to work with. I don't know.
Right.
And therefore the band's like, well, we don't really enjoy this.
Right.
We don't want to tour with you. We don't want to sit in the dressing room with you. It's a lot of downtime.
Yep.
So being that person you want to be outside the drumming is almost more important.
You can't just be a good player.
No,
Yeah.
it's like it's actually, I think it's more important than being a good drummer.
Yeah, I agree.
Is how you show up as a human being.
Yep.
You know that.
Absolutely.
You wouldn't be working with Volbeat, and I could tell you, I don't have to know them as human beings, but they're obviously good people.
Right.
Because you wouldn't have been there with 9 years. And knowing you and your ethics, you wouldn't have hung out with that if it was toxic.
Yeah, exactly.
You'd have been like, no, I'm not doing this
And
anymore.
everything I did leading up to this point wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
All the people that I played with, all the people that I met wouldn't have happened because I was an asshole.
Yeah.
But I wasn't. So,
So
you have
that's
to,
good.
I
So
mean, be nice.
Pete's advice, be a good guy, be nice, and get out there.
Yeah.
Literally,
You have to get out there.
Get out in front.
Get out of your rooms.
Whatever
get out
it
from
is.
behind your phone or your whatever. Get out there and talk to people.
There's so many musicians. There's so many people looking to play.
There are.
And that don't know how to or where to.
Yep.
So find that out. Figure that out.
There's plenty of avenues, especially since you go to school with a ton of kids that probably play instruments.
Absolutely.
Put it out there. Ask questions.
Cool. All right, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me,
Yeah,
man.
this is cool.
If you want to
Yes.
check out anything that I'm doing, honestly, all you have to do is put my name in Google, and you'll find it all. But
No one has that name.
Peteabdou, Pete Abdou, or Peter Abdou, or Pete Abdou Drums. PeteAbdou.com. It's all out there for you to check out. You'll find my YouTube channel, my touring channel, my drum channel where I put lessons and other things that I do in the studio. My Instagram, you can find me on there.
That's fun.
Pete Abdou Drums.
Yeah, all the
on
links are going to be
Instagram.
below. I'm
Yep.
going to put all the links below.
So come and find me. And if you do want some advice, there is a calendar on my website that you can sign up for some
there
times.
you go. See, he's got a calendar for that.
And yeah, exactly.
He's got to get a calendar for
And I
his
will
other band.
schedule you in, and we can have a chat or a lesson or whatever you want to do. Cool.
All right.
Thanks, Jason.
Peace.
Appreciate it, man.
All right, man.
Good luck with this.
Thanks.
Yeah, I
All
think it's great.